Chapter 1349, White Tiger Mountain. Lu Qingsong watched the figures of his big brother and Xiaohe as they left, and the flames of gossip burned brightly in his heart. If he didn't need to stay at White Tiger Mountain, he would have wanted to return to Bai Lake Mountain to see what was going on. TSK, I never thought my big brother would act this way when faced with emotions. Lu Qingsong shook his head in amazement, finding it hard to believe that the usually tall and imposing big brother had this side to him. At this moment, he thought of his older brother Lu Qingshan. What would he be like if he had someone he loved? Though this big brother is proud and arrogant, with eyes set high, not many ladies would be able to catch his eye. CTH Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Pingon looked at the familiar Bai Lake Mountain before him, and for a moment felt a bit apprehensive. In his mind, he recalled a black-clad girl pursing her lips, emotionless, introducing herself. My father's surname is Qin, my mother's surname is Yi, so I'm called Qin Yi. She often told him her aspirations, that she wanted to become a great sword immortal. For this, she traveled alone, aiming to join the largest sword cultivation sect in Jianghu country, the Heavenly Sword Sect. Big pot, we've arrived. Lu Lingyi, as always, was without tact. Seeing his big brother standing still, he urged him to move and see this sister. Lu Pingon took a deep breath, grabbed his sister, and stepped into Bai Lake Mountain, heading to Bai Yun Peak to ask Lu Yun where Qin Yi was. Miss Qin is at the water pavilion in Bai Yun Villa. Lu Yun said to his big brother. Then looking at Xiaohe, who was full of joy and excitement, he paused and said, Xiaohe, Brother Yun has something for you to help with, come with me. He had just talked to his mother yesterday about Qin Yi. His mother said father seemed to have mentioned that Pingon had a puppy-love girlfriend, but the details weren't clear to Lu Miaoyun. So Lu Yun became cautious. Seeing his big brother return immediately, his demeanor seemed a bit different than usual, more restrained and less carefree. He suspected something. In this situation, he naturally didn't want the sister to disturb his brother meeting his beloved. But I want to see Sister Qin. Lu Lingyi said with some reluctance. The family just made new desserts and hope someone will taste them, so I want to ask you for help, Xiaohe. Your sister Qin isn't leaving right now, we can go see her after we eat, it's quick. Lu Yun said, please, Xiaohe. Lu Lingyi hesitated for a moment and said, okay then. Big brother, you go and take care of your things. Lu Yun immediately said to his big brother, then took Xiaohe towards the meal hall. Lu Pingon forced a smile and nodded, took a deep breath, feeling heavy-footed as he walked to Bai Yun Villa. At this moment, Qin Yi sat in the small pavilion, staring blankly into the distance at Bai Shui Lake. After learning about Lu Pingan's situation, she set off to come to Bai Lake Mountain on the Qingyun spirit ship. But now that she was at Bai Lake Mountain, she felt a little lost, not knowing why she came. Maybe just to ask a question, maybe expecting something, maybe expecting nothing at all, who could say? Just then, she snapped back to reality and noticed a tall and burly young man standing ahead. His features were rugged, not exactly handsome, but decent. With a tall and strong build, his presence was majestic. But at this moment, he seemed somewhat awkward. Lu Pingon, why were the letters sent to the Heavenly Sword Sect from Lu Mingyue and not from you? What's going on? Qin Yi saw this young man and directly asked. Startled by her words, Lu Pingon was taken aback. What did she mean? The letters sent to Heavenly Sword Sect? Lu Mingyue. However, he indeed hadn't written any letters to Miss Qin. His sister Lu Wangshu had asked him about this before, but he chose avoidance. Looking at the skinny-eyed, red-lipped, cute-faced black-clad girl with a high ponytail ahead, he replied awkwardly, Miss Qin, long time no see. Long time no see? If I hadn't heard your name, Lu Pingon, by chance, I wouldn't know when we'd meet. The black-clad girl looked at him, as always naive, and spoke with displeasure. Lu Pingan hesitated, subconsciously wanting to scratch his head to relieve the embarrassment, but then lowered his raised hand. It had been a long time. But for some reason, it felt as if it were the first meeting. Pfft. Qin Yi laughed upon seeing the eldest son of the Bai Lake Mountain Lu family, renowned for defeating false core patriarchs, being so nervous and flustered in front of her. She stepped forward, smiling. Lu Pingan, you haven't changed a bit. Miss Qin, you've gotten taller. Lu Pingan thought for a moment and said to the black-clad girl before him. Back then, Qin Yi barely reached his chest, now she's almost up to his shoulder. Qin Yi arched an eyebrow, slightly raised her head, looking at Lu Pingan who was a head taller than her. Is being tall impressive? Lu Pingan was taken aback and quickly said he didn't mean that. Then what do you mean? Are you saying that at the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, the Enping wasn't you, and you haven't seen me, so you don't know I've grown taller? The black-clad girl continued to question. Lu Pingan felt more nervous than when he was facing Patriarch Sima, even sweating on his forehead. He truly didn't know how to answer these questions coming one after another. Big pot, big pot. Just then, a 16 or 17-year-old girl wearing a red outfit with a skirt, standing on wind-fire wheels, with two bun-style hairdos, flew in angrily. Brother Yun tricked me. Said there'd be good food, but there wasn't. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1350, in the conversation, there was quite a bit of grievance. Not far behind, Lu Yun was practically breaking out in a cold sweat. Phew. Lu Pingan heard the voice, as if waiting for a savior to arrive. He relaxed and touched his sister's head, then turned to Qin Yi and introduced, Miss Qin, this is my sister. However, before he could finish his words, Lu Lingyi, with her bright eyes, looked at the woman in black openly and said, Are you Qin Yi's sister, the one Big Pot likes? Lu Pingan's face froze, immediately covering his sister's mouth, feeling beads of sweat emerge on his forehead. Lu Lingyi couldn't say a word, her face full of grievance. Today not only did Brother Yun deceive her, but even Big Pot bullied her. Lu Pingan, is what she said true? Qin Yi's expression was very calm, her ruby lips gracefully set as her chin lifted slightly, and she asked. Lu Pingan was at a loss for words, totally unsure of how to answer. Not far away, Lu Yun looked as if he'd seen a ghost. He hadn't thought his own elder brother could have such a side. It seems that this Miss Qin, no, this Lady Qin, is indeed his brother's beloved. But looking at this, it's clear that brother hadn't forgotten Miss Qin, so why haven't they met each other all along? You don't speak and even cover your sister's mouth, not allowing her to talk. Seeing Lu Pingan silent, Qin Yi frowned slightly again, gazing at Lu Lingyi in her red dress, wondering if this was Lu Mingyue. It doesn't seem like she's that self-absorbed, mischievous. Big Pot also bullies me. Once Lu Ling's mouth was released and she could speak again, she was immediately full of grievance. But her sadness faded fast, as she floated over to the woman in black and said, Sister Qin Yi, my name is Lu Lingyi, you can call me Little He. Hello Little He, you know me? Qin Yi showed a slight smile and inquired. I heard from Brother Qing Song that there's a sister here to see Big Pot, and when Big Pot saw you, Sister Qin Yi, he was so dazed, as my sister says, only when encountering someone he likes would he be dazed. Little He said crisply, her voice sharp and clear. She's friendly with everyone she meets, quite personable. She continued to ask, Sister Qin Yi, how did you meet Big Pot? A long time ago. Qin Yi's eyes showed a trace of reminiscing. She still clearly remembers when she was being chased by a tiger demon. Lu Pingan appeared and using martial skills and talismans, killed the tiger demon. She remembered him with the look of a foolish son of a landlord's family. But he being the eldest son of the Bai Lake Mountain Lu family, calling him a foolish son of a landlord family doesn't seem off. Qin Yi was so talking with Lu Lingyi, while Lu Pingon stood there stiffly, not knowing what to say. "Sister Qin Yi, do you like Big Pot?" Lu Lingyi thus inquired. Qin Yi's face with a few smiles became slightly awkward. Then she looked at the motionless Lu Pingon and continued, "Lu Pingon, you still haven't answered my question. Why are the letters to the Heavenly Sword sect all written by Lu Mingyue and none by you?" "I don't know either, though Lu Pingon may be clumsy, he's not dumb. He roughly guessed that this Lu Mingyue is his sister Lu Wangshu. After all, back then for some unknown reasons, his sister knew of Qin Yi's matters and even earnestly asked him about it. Unable to resist his sister's pleading, he talked about some of the things between them from back then. Heavenly Sword Sect. This Miss Qin is from the Heavenly Sword Sect? Lu Yun not far away was a bit surprised. You should know that coming from the Heavenly Sword Sect to Bai Lake Mountain is very far, at least a half-year journey. And this Miss Qin has come all this way to see his brother, just to ask about the letters? But Wang Shu wrote to this Miss Qin, and brother didn't know? Lu Yun was also a bit bewildered, muttering in his heart, what on earth is all this about? SAR the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Don't know? Are you saying that all of Lu Mingyu's letters had none of your involvement? Upon hearing this, Qin Yi raised an eyebrow straight, speaking directly. Though the letters sent many contained things that left her speechless. But the letters clearly knew about the things between her and Lu Pingon, thinking some normal contents being directed by Lu Pingon. Unexpectedly, none of the letters were actually written by him. About that, Lu Pingon was somewhat embarrassed, really not knowing how to respond. Lu Pingon, are you dense? Qin Yi said, not in a good mood. Miss Qin, I'm sorry. Lu Pingon thought for a moment, responding with an apology. There's nothing to be sorry for, how you act is up to you. Qin Yi spoke with an expressionless face. Finishing the sentence, she sighed again and spoke in a low voice, besides, even if there was a letter from you within, I wouldn't have seen it. Okay, I won't make it difficult for you, since it's nothing urgent, I'll be heading back. She looked at Lu Pingon once more and spoke. Though he still appeared the same as ever. But since he doesn't wish for entanglements with her, she naturally wouldn't disrupt or persistently inquire. Sister Qin Yi, are you leaving? Lu Lingyi nearby asked aloud. Brother, Miss Qin has come a long way, you and Little He should host her, show her around our place, and have her stay a few days. Nearby, Lu Yun spoke quickly and transmitted to Little He that this Miss Qin must be kept. Though he didn't understand why his brother was so hesitant. He could see that both liked each other, thus hoping they could be harmoniously together. Because of the family, Lu Yun pondered thoughtfully. He had a very good impression of his brother Lu Pingon. With high cultivation level, without the slightest arrogance nor pomp, he took good care of his brothers and sisters at home. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1351, not only does it care for the Bai Lake Mountain, but it also treats the Lu family of Rui Prefecture equally. Over the decades, Lu Pingon has always shown concern towards the Lu family disciples sent to Bai Lake Mountain after their spiritual roots were detected in the secular world. From this, it can be seen that this elder brother of mine carries a heavy sense of responsibility. Over the years, except for annual visits to Rui Prefecture or family affairs, Lu Pingon has mostly been stationed at White Tiger Mountain, having no time to travel far. Although letters could be written, Bai Lake Mountain and the Heavenly Sword sect are far apart. In such circumstances, my brother fears delaying the other party, which is understandable. Lu Yun saw Lu Lingyi pulling Qin Yi to take her out for a stroll and didn't think much further, flying towards Baiyun Peak. He felt it necessary to inform his mother of this matter, and then let his mother inform his father. Even though father has never worried about family affairs, isn't it appropriate to be concerned about brother's lifelong affairs? Moreover, Sister Lu Wangshu seems to know about brother and this Miss Qin's matters. He highly suspects it was revealed from their father. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, Changsheng Hall. Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie were practicing the sun-moon samsara technique, with a bright sun and luminous moon swirling above their heads, emitting radiant mystical light. At this moment, the two entered a mysterious state, their souls and divine sense gradually merging like water and milk. After a long time, the spirits, thoughts, and souls of the two seemed to merge into one, each capable of sensing every thought in the other's mind. Boom! Just then, a turbulent magic aura suddenly surged from Xiao Xie's Qi ocean core, breaking through from the foundation establishment's 7th layer to the 8th layer. The two slowly opened their eyes, and both saw a radiant sun and luminous moon between each other's brows. Congratulations to my Xie for the breakthrough. Lu Changsheng gently stroked the jade-like face of the fairy in front of him and said kindly. Not only did Xiao Xie break through to the 8th layer of foundation building, but the sun-moon samsara technique also reached small achievement. Now, the two can achieve soul fusion through the radiant sun and luminous moon. It's all thanks to you, Changsheng. Xiao Xie's face blushed, her beautiful eyes still shimmered with a faint spiritual desire, charming and enchanting. Xie, let's try now to see if we can resolve the supreme forgetful love technique. Lu Changsheng suggested aloud. He had once seen, via spiritual communion, a female immortal appearing without feelings like the great Tao in the depths of Xiao Xie's sea of consciousness. However, because the sun-moon samsara technique of the other party hadn't reached small achievement, it was impossible to integrate actively, preventing deeper contact. Now, with the other's sun-moon samsara technique having reached small achievement, he could try further. Okay. Xiao Xie also showed a glimmer of anticipation in her eyes. Immediately, the two simultaneously activated the sun-moon samsara technique, with the radiant sun and divine moon manifesting between their brows, releasing brilliant light that shone upon each other. Buzz buzz buzz, this power flowed between them, constantly vibrating, extraordinarily mystical. With Xiao Xie's initiative, this process was very smooth. However, as Xiao Xie activated the supreme forgetful love technique, an unapproachable indifference involuntarily emerged from her spiritual state. Moments later, Lu Changsheng saw in the depths of Xiao Xie's soul, a hazy female immortal revealing the unfeeling great Tao and absolute impartiality of the heavenly Tao, starting to attempt further soul fusion using the yin-yang creation scripture, coming into contact with this female immortal. Much like the early years, the hazy figure shimmered with an intangible barrier, repelling him. But at that moment, an intent filled with gentle emotions emerged, weakening the female immortal's rejection to gradually merge with him. As they merged incessantly, Lu Changsheng noticed that a look of pain appeared on Xiao Xie's extraordinarily beautiful face. He realized that it was a spiritual conflict arising from the supreme forgetful love technique. Sar the Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Currently, Xiao Xie's soul and sea of consciousness primarily revolved around this female immortal. Should any issue arise, it could lead to soul disorder and fracturing of the sea of consciousness. Lu Changsheng immediately signaled Xiao Xie to stop further fusion, slowly operating the yin-yang creation scripture, encompassing this female immortal, and perceiving the intent of the supreme forgetful love within. After a long time, Lu Changsheng comprehended and realized that the female immortal before him was Xiao Xie. It could also be said that this was Xiao Xie's second personality. In fact, most of the time in daily life, Xiao Xie exists in this persona. Only when confronting Lu Wangshu or Yun Wanshang and the like would the present persona consciousness gradually awaken. And the other party's attempt to break through core formation lies in completely forgetting love, forgetting Lu Changsheng, Lu Wangshu, Yun Wanshang, and even oneself. The heavenly Tao is absolutely impartial, the great Tao is selfless, the supreme is emotionless. Lu Changsheng found it exceptionally tricky. Any interference impacting this female immortal would harm Xiao Xie. He attempted to use the yin-yang creation scripture, a force compatible with everything, to soothe this female immortal and calm her. Under the incredibly enigmatic yin-yang power, Xianxia's spiritual world gradually stabilized, with the pain on her face vanishing. Indeed, supreme forgetfulness, yet cultivators can never reach the stage of absolute impartiality and hence can be influenced. Lu Chongsheng breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Acknowledging that Xianxia's condition hadn't yet reached the point of being completely uninfluenceable, he contemplated solving this predicament. He had previously considered forming a different path based on the supreme forgetful love technique. However, Xianxia had already reached the doorway of this path. To walk a different road was as difficult as ascending to heaven. This female immortal is precisely the practice of the supreme forgetful love technique by Xia, but it eludes her control. Once the supreme forgetful love technique operates, it predominates in this persona, but it's useless even if controlled. To further progress, this persona must become the primary one completely. Having emotions or being emotionless, it is the yin-yang. Whether it can form a balance, and sometimes needing emotions, sometimes not, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1352, Lu Chongsheng, with the theoretical foundation of his yin-yang creation scripture, kept pondering. After a long while, a thought emerged in his heart. Since he couldn't interfere with this personality, could Xianxia intervene on her own? Coincidentally, the two states represent emotion and non-emotion. Could they achieve yin-yang balance and forge a different path? Shiyu, Lu Chongsheng immediately expressed his idea. SEA the novel_fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He suggested that their souls be centered around Xianxia, allowing her to actively integrate with the female immortal, while he assisted from behind. As expected, Xianxia approached integrating with the female immortal, and the other party did not reject or resist her as it did with him. However, the two still could not achieve balance. Lu Chongsheng immediately operated the yin-yang creation scripture, embracing all, encompassing all, aiding Xianxia to achieve balance with her. At the same time, Lu Chongsheng's Tai divine soul emitted a faint golden glow, revealing the essence of his yin-yang creation scripture, like the profound sound of the great Tao echoing in Xianxia's mind, forming mysterious and profound runes, suggesting she actively form the yin-yang balance. Buzz. As the yin-yang creation scripture gradually merged into the spiritual domain, Xianxia's female immortal deep within her sea of consciousness seemed less indifferent than before. Thus, time slowly passed. The hazy female immortal, like the supreme forgetfulness, with eyes appearing to channel the yin-yang rotation. Her left eye resembled the nine heavens' bright moon, supreme forgetfulness. Her right eye was like the rising sun, emotion as the Tao seed. The sun and moon rotated, yin-yang flowed, Xianxia's sea of consciousness seemed to slowly change. It's feasible. Lu Chongsheng observed that Xianxia's soul and spiritual world were heading towards an emotional and non-emotional yin-yang balance. However, he couldn't be certain of the specifics and could only rely on Xianxia herself. Time ticked away. It's unclear how much time had passed. Buzz. In Xianxia's sea of consciousness, behind the female immortal's head, a yin-yang ring gradually formed. This yin-yang ring glowed brightly, seemingly supporting her soul and spiritual world. The yin-yang of heaven and earth encompasses all. Emotion and non-emotion are yin-yang. Supreme forgetfulness, emotion can exist within non-emotion. Cultivation is the great Tao. He is also the great Tao. At this moment, Xianxia defied the conflict of supreme forgetfulness intention, resolving the balance of cultivation technique. The two opened their eyes, exiting the state of soul fusion. Chongsheng. Xianxia's beautiful eyes were moist, full of affection and joy. Shiyu, how do you feel? Lu Chongsheng's face showed some fatigue as he asked with concern. This process took a significant toll on him. If his cultivation level weren't far above Xiaoxia's and he didn't have the Tai divine soul, he couldn't have helped her maintain soul balance. These days were even more exhausting than when he saved Chu Qingyi. However, seeing the situation temporarily resolved, he felt a burst of joy, feeling the hardship was worthwhile. I feel great now, Xiaoxia spoke softly, indicating that not only had the situation been resolved, but she also gained tremendous benefits, perfectly controlling her soul state. The only issue was that the original Supreme Forgetful Love technique was no longer suitable for her. She had to extend her current ideology based on the original cultivation technique, forging her own unique path. Otherwise, continuing cultivation would gradually revert to the original state. Don't worry, I'm here. Lu Chongsheng held her, speaking softly. Developing a cultivation technique is indeed difficult. But with so many techniques to draw upon, and the help of Hong Lian, the nascent soul true lord, the cave mystique treasure mirror, he was confident they would find a path. Moreover, there's no need to completely develop the cultivation technique at once. For now, it's enough to develop a method for Xiaoxia to break through core formation, the rest can be slowly developed later. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1353, in Chongsheng Hall, Lu Chongsheng and Xiaoxia were designing further ideas on the Supreme Forgetful Love technique. Thinking that this technique was also based on the theory of the yin-yang creation scripture, Lu Chongsheng planned to call his wife Lu Miaoge over. Lu Miaoge's cultivation with the water of virtue technique incorporated many characteristics of the yin-yang creation scripture. Many of its theories were worth referencing. However, just as Lu Chongsheng stepped out of Chongsheng Hall, he noticed a message saying his wife Lu Miaoyun wanted him to inform her once he was out of seclusion. Immediately, Lu Chongsheng went to the Lu family mansion to ask Lu Miaoyun what the matter was. It's about Pingan. Lu Miaoyun opened up, briefly explaining the situation between Lu Pingan and Qin Yi. This girl seems admirable, bold in love and hate. Lu Chongsheng chuckled lightly upon hearing this. He remembered that when his son Lu Qiuanzhen mentioned it to him back then, it was also the girl who took the initiative. Yet, he felt somewhat surprised. He had asked his daughter Lu Wangshu to help Lu Pingan arrange a meeting, but his daughter kept saying there was no reply, so nothing further happened. Now it seemed, could the letter have been sent to the wrong person? Yuner, have you met this little Qin? Lu Chongsheng mused slightly. He thought that since the girl had already come forward, what was his son still hesitating about? Sir, the Novel Fire, NE*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If his son didn't like her, then there was nothing more to be said. But his son clearly had feelings, yet was being cautious. I only met her once briefly when seeing little he and chatted a bit, she seems nice. But I'm not clear on the details of the situation between them, so it's hard to say much. Lu Miaoyun said as such. If it were about her son Lu Yun or other Lu family disciples, she might inquire more deeply. But since Qin Yi and Lu Pingan were both foundation establishment cultivators, she felt it was inappropriate to meddle too much. Alright, I'll go take a look. Lu Chongsheng nodded in agreement. After speaking, he paused, and then said, Yuner, later you can release the news of my return. And you can spread the word that I was pursued by a nascent soul immortal in the Tianyuan secret realm because, Lu Chongsheng paused, revealing the explanation he had planned long ago. Lu Miaoyun was slightly taken aback by his words, then responded with a bright smile, all right, husband. At Baishui Lake, Lu Pingan was on a boat with Qin Yi and his sister Lu Lingyi. However, he was merely accompanying them, as his sister chatted non-stop with Qin Yi, and he only spoke when asked. Pingan, come to see me. Just then, a voice echoed in Lu Pingan's mind. He instantly recognized it as his father's voice. Miss Qin, I have something to attend to and need to leave for a while. Little he, you enjoy with your sister Qin. Lu Pingan paused and said to the two girls. Is something wrong? Qin looked at Lu Pingan and inquired. It seemed to say she was willing to help if needed. It's nothing, just that I'm being called over. Lu Pingan smiled and said. All right. With that said, Qin didn't ask further. Father, you're back. Lu Pingan arrived at Baiyun Peak, seeing the tall figure in a green robe, he called out. He had been staying at Bai Lake Mountain recently, partly because of Qin. Another reason was that his aunt Lu Miaoyun informed him that Lu Chongsheng had returned and would be looking for him later. Lu Chongsheng turned around, smiling. Pingan, it's been hard on you at home these days. In his absence, it was thanks to Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu holding fort. Otherwise, the family might have faced many threats and conspiracies. This is what I should do. Lu Pingan replied without any complacency, grinning broadly. What do you think of little Qin? Lu Chongsheng didn't linger on that topic and went straight to the point. Little Qin? Which little Qin? Lu Pingan hadn't yet caught on. Your first love little girlfriend, who was just boating with you, which other little Qin could it be? Lu Chongsheng said almost exasperatedly, I heard from your aunt that the girl has already come to see you, yet you're still indifferent? Dad, Lu Pingan wanted to say they were just friends, but Lu Chongsheng directly interrupted him, saying, you're not young anymore. Since there's someone suitable, why not settle it early? Moreover, you clearly have feelings for little Qin, so why hesitate and worry? As for your concerns, I understand them. You don't need to worry, as long as I'm here, you can do whatever you want without worries. Didn't you want to explore the world back then? Now is the same, you can go out whenever you want. Lu Chongsheng spoke, stepping forward and patting his son's broad shoulder. Having a sense of responsibility is good, but don't wrong yourself. I don't want you to regret it later on. Dad, Lu Pingan was taken aback, wanting to say they might have a budding affection but nothing more. However, Lu Chongsheng didn't give him a chance to speak, waving his hand directly, go on, the family matters don't need your worry. With that, Lu Chongsheng sighed, when the time comes, introduce little Qin to your mother. Even though she hasn't mentioned it over the years, she's still hoping to see you settle down soon. Long ago, Lan Shu would often talk about Lu Pingan's lifelong affairs. But ever since Lu Pingan achieved foundation establishment and gained fame at White Tiger Mountain, Lan Shu had accepted her son's path as an immortal and foundation establishment ancestor, ceasing to mention these matters. Yet, as a traditional mother, she still wished to see her son establish a family soon. Lu Pingan pursed his lips, feeling a taste of bitterness within. Indeed, his mother no longer spoke to him about such matters now. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1354. But when he returned to visit his mother before, he once saw her sitting alone in the small courtyard, muttering to herself with a desolate expression. Go ahead, follow your heart. No matter the outcome, just don't let yourself regret it. Lu Chongsheng didn't say much. A dutiful son with a sense of responsibility is naturally a good thing. But he didn't want these to become shackles, binding his own son. Yes, father. Lu Pingan sighed and said no more, walking towards Bai Shui Lake, pondering how to begin. Wait. Lu Chongsheng stopped his son, took out a jug of wine from the storage ring, tossed it to him, and said, you can take a couple of sips to courage up. Also, this sword is now your personal sword. If you don't have any other gifts ready, you can give this sword as a token of affection to young Qin. Lu Chongsheng also took out a sparkling flying sword from the storage ring, erased the marks on it, and tossed it to his son. This was a flying sword he prepared in his early years to perform the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture, a second-rank top-level flying sword. But it had never been used, gathering dust in the storage ring. Now giving it to his future daughter-in-law didn't seem wasteful. Ah! Lu Pingan looked at the wine and sword in his hands. He was stunned, slightly bewildered. Alright, go on. Lu Chongsheng waved his hand, indicating for him to proceed. Sir, the novel, F.I.R. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yes. Lu Pingan gave a slight bitter smile, then took a deep breath and walked towards Bai Shui Lake. On the boat, Qin Yi, dressed in black with narrow eyes and red lips, saw Lu Pingan return and said, "Finished? If you have something to do, there's no need to stay here." Lu Pingan took a deep breath but found the words hard to say. Then, taking a deep breath again, he took out the jug of wine his father had given him and drank heartily. Beside Qin Yi, Lu Lingyi sniffed the strong aroma of wine and immediately shouted, "Big brother, I want some too." Lu Pingan, watch how you're drinking, don't lead little he astray. Qin Yi said in a clear voice at once. The boldness that Lu Pingan had fueled with wine was extinguished in an instant, and the words stuck in his throat again. Lu Pingan, if you have something to say, just say it straight, don't be so indirect like a woman. The woman in black saw Lu Pingan's hesitant expression and said irritably. Lu Chongsheng, watching this from afar, also shook his head and sighed. Thinking to himself that the son of this Lu ancestor being so naive would bring him ridicule. Miss Qin. Lu Pingan spoke. But then shook his head and quickly said, Qin Yi, I like you. What did you say? Say it louder. The woman in black raised an eyebrow, her red lips curving upward. Qin Yi. I like you. Lu Pingan's voice was robust, charged with boldness that seemed to surge to the sky, causing ripples on the calm lake. Oh, I see. Qin Yi nodded seriously. Lu Pingan was stunned, somewhat bewildered. He didn't expect Qin Yi to reply this way and was momentarily at a loss for what to say next. Glug glug. At this moment, Lu Lingyi in a red dress took a sip from her brother's wine jug, her cheeks immediately flushing, and said, Big brother, this doesn't have sister's sweetness. But just as she spoke, an invisible great hand of magical power reached over, picking her up with a cry of surprise. Seeing this, Qin Yi's expression immediately turned colder, intending to draw her sword. But in the next moment, she noticed a handsome youth appearing ahead without her realization. Daddy! Lu Lingyi exclaimed joyfully upon seeing the youth. Qin Yi was shocked upon hearing this, unexpectedly realizing it was Lu Pingan and Lu Ling's father, the lord of Bai Lake Mountain, Lu family ancestor. Wasn't it said that Lu family ancestor encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm? How did he appear here in good condition? Moreover, as a sword cultivator with sharp senses, she hadn't detected the youth's arrival, which was surprising. I have something to discuss with little he, you all carry on. Lu Chongsheng slightly nodded and then took away his youngest daughter, who was ruining the mood. Otherwise, if it were just his son and this little girl, it would take a lot of effort to create an atmosphere only to have it disrupted by his daughter. Moreover, he understood that although his son could hardly utter a word, his personality was quite complementary to the girl's, so he was too lazy to interfere. Daddy, I missed you so much. Lu Lingyi pounced into her father's arms, looking adorable. Daddy missed my little he. Lu Chongsheng pinched his daughter's rosy little cheeks, his gaze soft and gentle. Daddy, Lu Lingyi immediately shared interesting and fun stories with Lu Chongsheng, even mentioning how brother Yun tricked her when sister Qin Yi came over, chattering non-stop. Lu Chongsheng listened to his daughter's words with a smile on his face. Greetings, Mountain Master. Father. As the two walked along the road, other Qingyun sect cultivators and some Lu family disciples, upon seeing Lu Chongsheng, all displayed faces of surprise, astonishment, and delight, then greeted him respectfully. After all, for the past 6 months, rumors had been circulating externally that Lu Chongsheng had perished in the Tianyuan secret realm. Normally, Lu Lingyi didn't pay attention to such matters, so if no one told her, she wouldn't know, but the majority of Qingyun sect cultivators were aware. If it weren't for Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu visiting Golden Dragon Ridge to establish their might and intimidate all sides, this rumor might have had a significant impact on Qingyun sect. Now, seeing Lu Chongqing return, everyone was naturally excited and invigorated. Lu Chongqing smiled and nodded, concernedly asking his children about recent events. Now that Xiao Xia's supreme forgetful love technique problem was temporarily solved, he also planned to head to Qingyun sect. Therefore, there was no need to conceal his return. Moreover, if he didn't show himself, his son Lu Pingan wouldn't feel at ease going out. Once Lu Chongqing disappeared, Qin Yi's tense posture slightly relaxed, and she looked at Lu Pingan, saying, "I heard earlier that uncle was in the secret realm." Even though her personality was always carefree and straightforward, in such a situation, seeing Lu Pingan's father still made her somewhat restrained. After all, it was one thing during normal times. But just a moment ago, Lu Pingan had loudly confessed his feelings for her. Father should have returned a few days ago, but the news hasn't spread yet. Lu Pingan said in a low voice. Was it uncle who called you over just now? Qin Yi seemed to think of something, raised her eyebrows, and asked aloud. Lu Pingan nodded. I was wondering why you've changed your tune. Qin Yi pursed her lips, sat down, hugged her knees with both hands, and asked, what did uncle say to you? Lu Pingan felt a bit awkward, but he still revealed the truth. Qin Yi gazed at Bai Shui Lake, saying nothing. Seeing this, Lu Pingan quietly sat beside her, watching Bai Shui Lake with her. No one knew how long had passed when the girl dressed in black suddenly asked, Lu Pingan, what do you like about me? Lu Pingan contemplated for a moment and sincerely replied, I don't know either. When I first met you, I saw you as a sister, but after spending time together, I suddenly found you very cute. You smile so beautifully, yet always have an expressionless face, pursing your lips. You clearly don't understand a lot of things but insist on being stubborn. You're the one who's stubborn. Who can compare to you? I remember once you got hurt and insisted on using the prescription yourself. You ended up buying the wrong medicine but still argued stubbornly. You've been tricked by the same thing 3 times. Miss Qin, do you like me? Guess? Could it be a tiny bit? Lu Pingan raised his arm, leaving a small gap between his thumb and index finger. If I don't like you, would you just go marry someone else and start running the family business? The black-clad girl imitated his earlier gesture and words. My parents probably won't force me. What do you think yourself? The two sat on the small boat, speaking back and forth, their expressions and tones gradually becoming more natural, their bodies inching closer. He. Not far away, Lu Chongqing, holding his daughter's hand, suddenly shook his head and chuckled lightly. Many things become much simpler as long as you take the first step. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1355. Seeing his son Lu Pingan and Qin Yi gradually getting on track, Lu Chongqing didn't worry too much. After spending a few days with his wives, concubines, and children at home, he went to Qingyun sect with Xiao Xia to pay respects to Kaiyun True Immortal. Meanwhile, a piece of news spread from Bai Lake Mountain. Lu family ancestor Lu Chongqing has returned. Not only did he not perish in the Tianyuan secret realm, but his cultivation level has advanced further, breaking through the late stage of foundation establishment. Once this news spread, it immediately shook the surrounding family forces. Families scrambled through various channels and means to Bai Lake Mountain to verify the authenticity of the news. After all, it was too shocking. In the Tianyuan secret realm, being hunted by a nascent soul immortal, not only did he survive, but he also broke through his cultivation realm? What kind of sorcery is this? Could it be he's a child of destiny? Many people didn't believe it and were skeptical. They thought this was by Lake Mountain creating false rumors to stabilize the clan and intimidate outsiders. However, not long after, another rumor emerged. It claimed that the reason Ancestor Lu managed to leave the Tianyuan secret realm alive was because the nascent soul immortal chasing him wasn't really trying to kill him. This person was an old lover of Ancestor Lu, who parted ways due to certain reasons. Now, upon seeing Ancestor Lu in the Tianyuan secret realm, she wanted to take him back and rekindle old feelings. But Ancestor Lu didn't want to rely on her, so he persuaded her and returned to the family. Damn, by Lake Mountain is too wild. They even dare to fabricate rumors about nascent soul immortals. Aren't they afraid that the nascent soul immortal will find trouble with their Lu family? When some family forces heard this news, they didn't believe it at first, thinking it was a rumor spread secretly by Lake Mountain. Because such things are routine operations for many forces. But they've never dared to be so wild, to spread such fierce material. After all, this involves a nascent soul immortal. Perhaps it's a rumor spread by Jinlong Ridge Jin family or Xuanwu Ridge Sima family to provoke the nascent soul immortal in this way. Someone speculated like this. No way. Even if the Jin family and Sima family had the courage of bears and leopards, they wouldn't dare spread rumors about a nascent soul immortal like this. That's right, if the nascent soul immortal found out, the two families might face the risk of annihilation. Some forces thought that even if the Jin family and Sima family were reckless, they wouldn't make such an unwise move. Originally, I didn't believe Ancestor Lu had returned, but now that I've heard this absurd rumor, I find it somewhat believable. Ancestor Lu is truly a model in terms of Dao companions, and cannot be measured by common sense. Is Lu family's main mother going to have another nascent soul immortal? I remember 50 years ago, when Lu family of Jianghu Mountain and by family of 100 Birds Lake attacked Red Leaf Valley, a Foundation establishment tribute from the Chen family suddenly attacked Ancestor Chen, leading to the Chen family's destruction. And this woman was closely related to Lu Changsheng. Could this nascent soul immortal be that Foundation female cultivator from back then? Damn, what kind of peach blossom luck does Lu Changsheng have, cultivating the dual cultivation technique with Lu Miaoge, being with array master Ling Zixiao, disciple of Qingyun sect Xiao Qingqing, and also having a top-level alchemist who can refine Foundation establishment elixirs. I'm so jealous. Why is there such a gap between people? Wailing. Many people discussed the matters regarding Ancestor Lu. Concerning Ancestor Lu and the nascent soul immortal, some believed it, some didn't, and some were skeptical. But regardless, this news made many family forces apprehensive. After all, what if Ancestor Lu truly knows a nascent soul immortal? At this moment, Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie arrived at Qingyun sect. Gazing at the towering Kaiyun peak ahead, Lu Changsheng's originally anxious heart gradually calmed down. Facing fears must be overcome regardless, as he's already here, being hesitant would only bring ridicule. Moreover, what's there to be worried about in this matter? He had saved Chu Qinji's life. In fact, Yun Wanshang should owe him gratitude and express thanks to him. Greetings, true immortal. Greetings, master. The two arrived at the top of Kaiyun Peak, and bowed towards the palace hall. Boom! A moment later, the palace door opened with a loud boom. An overwhelming spiritual pressure spread, causing the surrounding air to seem frozen. Soon after, an invisible great hand of magical power suddenly appeared, striking directly at Lu Changsheng. Master! Seeing this, Xiao Xie's face changed dramatically, and she shouted, wanting to shield Lu Changsheng. Of course, Lu Changsheng wouldn't let her do that. With his Tai divine soul, he immediately sensed the situation. Swiftly connecting to the 9 treasures Rui bone on his chest, he unleashed a burst of mana, punching at the great magical hand. However, in this hastily moment, his entire figure staggered, and his steps became unsteady. Xiao Xie quickly supported Lu Changsheng, her face anxiously looking into the palace. Unexpectedly, her master attacked Lu Changsheng right upon meeting. he really broke through to core formation. In the palace, Yun Wanshang watched this scene, her beautiful eyes deep like a tranquil pool, seemingly calm yet rippling with waves. This slap, though she carried some feelings of venting her grievances. The main reason was still to probe Lu Changsheng's cultivation strength. She wanted to see what cultivation strength he possessed. However, seeing Lu Changsheng appeared only at the 7th level of foundation establishment, she only used the initial stage of core formation strength. Even at the end, she eased off some of the force. Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It seems he has some means, secret techniques, to gather and conceal his cultivation within the depths of his body. Yun Wanshang slightly frowned, roughly understanding the method Lu Changsheng used to hide his cultivation. This method was quite ingenious. As long as Lu Changsheng doesn't engage in battle, doesn't use his true strength, it's difficult for others to discern his cultivation realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1356, however, the shortcomings are also quite obvious. The cultivation strength is hidden too deeply. If suddenly ambushed, the reaction would be a step slower. Yun Wanshang gracefully walked out of the grand hall in a luxurious colorful dress, exuding an aura of nobility and elegance. Then she looked at Xianxia, who was usually aloof and solitary, but now filled with anxiety and concern, and spoke with a faint authority, "Xia, you should return first." As she spoke, there was a subtle, menacing spiritual pressure swirling around her. After discovering the affair between Lu Changsheng and Chu Qingyi, she found it hard to remain calm. Seeing the closeness between Lu Changsheng and Xianxia, especially Xiaoxia's expression of infatuated worry and her recent act of shielding Lu Changsheng, her anger only intensified. Both her valued disciples had been misled by this one person. Master, Xiaoxia could see that her master was seething with anger, worried she might act against Lu Changsheng again. She bit her red lips gently, her voice pleading. However, seeing her disciple like this, Yun Wanshang's anger only grew. "It's okay, Xia." Lu Changsheng understood that Kaiyun True Immortal must have something to say to him, and gestured to her to go back first. He secretly reassured her that if she truly intended him harm, she would not have held back just now. Upon hearing this, Xiaoxia hesitated slightly before bowing her hands towards Yun Wanshang. "Master, disciple takes her leave." Boom! Just as Xiaoxia walked down from the peak, she felt an overwhelming torrent of terrifying mana spiritual pressure surging, distorting the air at the summit slightly. She knew this was her master making a move against Lu Changsheng, and her heart filled with worry. Boom! Yun Wanshang's core formation late-stage mana suppression struck with a boom, catching Lu Changsheng somewhat off guard. His whole body suddenly felt as if crushed by an ancient divine mountain, nearly bowing him down. But fortunately, his physique was astonishing, and the 9 treasures Rui bone at his chest released a wave of heat, gradually relieving him of this pressure, allowing him to slowly straighten his body, his expression calm as he met the gaze of the stunningly beautiful, regal Yun Wanshang. Core formation late stage. The cultivation level and strength of the Kaiyun True Immortal before him were undoubtedly at the core formation late stage. Lu Changsheng had seen nascent soul cultivators at the initial and middle stages take action, none had this kind of terrifying oppression. Moreover, he knew that Yun Wanshang was no ordinary nascent soul cultivator, she was a golden core true person. "Lu Changsheng, how dare you?" Yun Wanshang's eyes were like water, filled with an indescribable coldness, her entire being as if a 9 heavens goddess overlooking all, commanding and majestic. Boom boom boom, as she spoke, the terrifying aura escalated in waves like a surging tempest, endlessly pressing towards Lu Changsheng. She could be strong, he could be stronger, like a gentle breeze brushing the mountain ridge. She could be fierce, he could be fiercer, like the bright moon illuminating the great river. Lu Changsheng stood tall and straight in his green robe, the runes of the 9 treasures Rui bone interweaving on his chest, causing his body to emit a brilliant divine light, speaking in a deep voice. I don't understand what the true immortal means by this. If it's about the matter with Fairy Qingyi, I believe I am not in the wrong. If not for the true immortal and Xia's sake, I wouldn't have intervened back then. After all, given the circumstances at the time, acting could have entailed endless peril for me. Lu Chongqing maintained a calm expression, his demeanor composed. Although he had other considerations when he saved the person back then, the main reason was for Yun Wanshang and Xiao Xia's sake. Yet such matters still led the other party to blame him, which he could not accept. Moreover, it's clear that the opposing party already knew about his cultivation strength, and he would no longer pretend to be weak and helpless, looking pitiful as he did in the past. He refused to believe that a woman like Yun Wanshang would be attracted to someone cowardly and timid. When Yun Wanshang heard Lu Changsheng's words, and saw his composed demeanor under her suppression, she was surprised, suddenly feeling as though he was somewhat unfamiliar. So different from the glib, playful figure in her impression. Yet Lu Changsheng's righteous words left her with no rebuttal. As Lu Chongqing stated, he took great risks to save Chu Qingyi at the time. Moreover, he not only saved Chu Qingyi but also aided her in breaking and then advancing, forming a second-grade golden core. If one were to calculate, it's evident Chu Qingyi owed him a great debt of kindness. For a while, Yun Wanshang did not know what to say. As the Qingyun sect's enforcement hall master, she could be domineering, yet she was not unreasonable. Naturally, I know that not only Chu Qingyi but even I still owe Lu Chongqing a favor. But knowing is one thing, accepting is another, and such matters are still difficult for her to accept. As the master of a peak in the Qingyun sect and the enforcement hall master, having one disciple develop feelings with Lu Chongqing was bad enough, but now both disciples have such entanglements. Especially since I myself, Lu Chongqing noticed Yun Wanshang's silence and the disappearance of the pressure of spiritual power over him, so he softened his tone and cupped his hands, saying, "True man, I wonder where Fairy Qingyi is?" The situation was urgent at the time, and I, Lu, had no choice but to act as I did. If true man blames me, I am willing to take responsibility and marry Fairy Qingyi. Although Chu Qingyi is likely still indecisive. Yet, through that period of interaction, it was evident that Fairy Qingyi's personality is rather traditional, and she is likely very obedient to her master, Kaiyun True Immortal. If this matter receives Kaiyun True Immortal's approval, it is likely to be settled. As for whether this would anger Kaiyun True Immortal. Things have reached this point, so instead of hesitating, it would be better to go straight ahead, simply and directly. Yun Wanshang. Just moments ago, she thought this person seemed a bit different from her impression. But upon hearing this, it became clear that Lu Chongqing remained the same Lu Chongqing, utterly shameless. What does he mean by taking responsibility if I blame him by marrying Qingyi? Is it a grievance for you to say that? Qingyi is currently in closed-door cultivation and doesn't want to see you. Yun Wanshang's voice was icy, and she spoke directly. After speaking, she paused and added, "The matters between you and Qingyi, even though I am Qingyi's master, I will not interfere." Though she was troubled when thinking about the situation between Lu Chongqing and Chu Qingyi. But during these days, she had thought a lot. If Chu Qingyi truly has feelings for Lu Chongqing, there is nothing more she can say. Just letting them resolve it on their own saves her the trouble of worrying. After all, the disciple has reached core formation. In matters of emotions, as a master, she has nothing more to say. The only thing she could do now was to advise her disciple Chu Qingyi to avoid meeting or contacting Lu Chongqing as much as possible, to see if they could snuff out the budding feelings. Search * The Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Thank you, true man. Lu Chongqing sighed with relief and slightly bowed with cupped hands. As long as the other side didn't interfere in his and Chu Qingyi's matters, everything would be easily resolved. Otherwise, if she mentioned his relationship with Xiao Xia to Chu Qingyi and asked how could a senior sister and junior sister marry the same person, Chu Qingyi might just sever her feelings decisively. "I wonder for what matter you, true man, summoned me here?" Lu Changsheng cupped his hands and asked with a polite face. Yun Wansheng was speechless. She had directed Xiao Xie to call Lu Changsheng over partly to understand the situation and explain things. The other motive was her inner anger, intending to give Lu Changsheng a double-edged reminder. However, seeing Lu Changsheng now and hearing his words, she just felt weary and uninterested. "I will not interfere too much in your affairs with Xie and Qingyi, but if you keep affecting their cultivation, don't blame me for showing no mercy. Regarding hiding your cultivation level, I will cover for you to some extent, but you should also be cautious as the 4 great immortal sects all have diviners skilled in prediction and calculation." Yun Wansheng spoke with such clarity. Currently, Lu Changsheng's situation hasn't caught the attention of too many people. But all top-level forces have diviners in place. With just a little prediction and calculation, much information can be uncovered, which even she could not conceal. "Thank you, true man." Lu Changsheng cupped his hands and bowed. He had previously prepared himself to reveal his cultivation level. Yet, if possible, he would rather not expose it prematurely. He thought of revealing his cultivation at the middle or late stage of core formation. That way, even if any danger or accident occurs, it would be easier to handle. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1357, When did you break through to core formation? Yun Wansheng looked at Lu Changsheng and asked. Just now, under her pressure, Lu Changsheng's performance was entirely unlike a newly advanced core formation cultivator. If she didn't know about his cultivation progress beforehand, she would suspect he had already broken through to the core formation middle stage. But she instantly realized that Lu Changsheng had condensed not an ordinary golden core. It was a first-grade, immortal golden core. Precisely because of this, he had such strength to concede the core formation opportunity and grant it to Chu Qingyi. At this moment, Yun Wansheng's heart was stirred by waves of shock. After all, among the 4 great immortal sects in Jianghu country, those who can condense a superior grade golden core are rare. As for the immortal golden core, over the past 100 years, besides herself, Xianjian True Monarch, an absolute sword true monarch who might have condensed one, she hadn't heard of anyone else expressing having condensed an immortal golden core. Yet now, Lu Changsheng, a loose cultivator and clan cultivator, had condensed a first-grade immortal golden core, which was astonishing beyond measure. If this achievement were to spread, it might directly shake Jianghu country, even affecting neighboring countries like Yu country and Jin kingdom. 4 years ago, I stumbled upon an opportunity and luckily broke through to core formation. Lu Changsheng said calmly. 4 years ago, Yun Wansheng recalled about 4 or 5 years ago when she was nurturing her golden core. Suddenly, a surge of inexplicable fascination arose from her Tongyu Phoenix marrow body and golden core. Now it seems that this fascination came from Lu Changsheng. Why did his breakthrough to core formation cause such a sense of connection for her? After pondering for a moment, Yun Wansheng didn't dwell on it, waved her hand at Lu Changsheng and said, "All right, you may leave. True immortal, I also have one matter." At this moment, Lu Changsheng looked at Yun Wansheng, draped in colorful garments, with a stunningly beautiful and peerless appearance, and spoke solemnly. "What is it?" Yun Wansheng's eyes were like water, her presence like a rainbow. Back then, True Immortal said that if I could break through to Foundation establishment one day, she would give me an opportunity. Lu Changsheng took out the jade pendant she had given him years ago and spoke up, "Now that I have broken through to core formation, I wonder if this promise can be honored." In fact, this question had been on his mind for years, but he didn't dare to ask. Now, having broken through to core formation, he had the confidence to do so. Mainly because his current relationship with Yun Wansheng and her 2 disciples was exceedingly complex. If he didn't take initiative now, there wouldn't be another chance. Even though he knew this request would only anger Yun Wansheng. But whereas facing Yun Wansheng, he had no means of being subtle, he could only be direct. Lu Changsheng, how dare you? As expected, Yun Wanshang's eyes gleamed with indescribable coldness upon hearing this. This person had just harmed her 2 disciples and now even dared to make a move on her. Did he really think she was easy to bully? Sar the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng faced the terrifying aura like stormy waves, his robes and hair dancing chaotically, his chest gleaming with the 9 treasures Rui bone, yet his stance remained tall and unwavering. Then he gazed deeply at Yun Wanshang with eyes both bright and profound, and said word by word, "True immortal, I am quite greedy. One day, I will ascend to the peak of Qingyun and embrace Kaiyun in my arms." However, as soon as his words fell, Yun Wanshang raised her fair arm, unleashing a palm strike with overwhelming mana, stirring the winds and clouds of heaven and earth. Boom! Even at this moment, Lu Changsheng's qi and blood surged turbulently, his body flying backward. If it wasn't for Yun Wanshang's action, he might have forgotten that this Kaiyun true immortal was the enforcement hall master of Qingyun sect, possessing a core formation late-stage cultivation level, standing at the pinnacle of Jianghu country's cultivation realm. Nonetheless, Lu Changsheng did not retreat, stabilized his form, and gently wiped the fresh blood from his mouth, continuing to smile. "Lu, always keep my word." Between his brows, there was both a youthful brilliance of a peerless genius, confident and self-assured, and an air of wild arrogance from one accustomed to being in a high position. Yun Wanshang looked at the handsome face and tall, dignified posture of Lu Changsheng, filled with the aura of soul supremacy, silent with a complex expression. If it wasn't for the matters involving disciples Xiaoxia and Chu Qingyi, Lu Changsheng in front of her was indeed a suitable match and qualified to be her Dao companion. However, there was no if. After a moment of silence, she flicked her sleeve, sending Lu Changsheng down from the peak with mighty mana, herself also dramatically returning to Kaiyun Hall. She knew that unless she killed Lu Changsheng today, he would not give up easily. And Lu Changsheng dared to confront her like this because he was sure she wouldn't really harm him. Although Yun Wanshang felt ashamed and angry, she also became somewhat distracted. The once aggrieved little qi refinement cultivator had, unknowingly, dared to confront her, speaking of eventually ascending to Qingyun Peak and holding Kaiyun in his embrace. "Changsheng, are you alright?" Mid-mountain, Xiaoxia saw Lu Changsheng fall and immediately went forward with concern. Although the peak was shrouded by formation and concealed, she still sensed the formidable suppression of mana. She knew it was her master troubling Lu Changsheng. Fine." Lu Changsheng grasped Xiaoxia's palm and said with a smile. Even though Kaiyun True Immortal struck a palm on him, the other's silence and final action made him feel good. Knowing the path he marked down, the other had tacitly consented. Next, he's just waiting for the day he ascends to Qingyun. Ascend to Qingyun. At this time, this Kaiyun True Immortal must have already broken through to nascent soul, right? Lu Changsheng pondered silently. Others might not be aware, but he knew that Yun Wanshang used his yin-yang energies to nurture her golden core, likely having already advanced to a first-grade golden core. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1358, Under such circumstances, as long as no unforeseen situations occur, there is a great chance of breaking through to nascent soul. It's just that some of my words upset the true man, Shiyu, you don't need to worry. Lu Changsheng smiled and said, indicating that he had mentioned something about Master Qingyi, which displeased the true man. As for things like treading the blue clouds and embracing the colorful clouds, Lu Changsheng planned to talk to Xiaoxia about it later when there was an opportunity. Otherwise, he really didn't know how to bring it up. Changsheng, in the future, try not to mention anything about senior sister in front of master. If there are things you really want to tell senior sister, I can pass on the message for you. Xiaoxia pursed her lips and said softly. After all these years of interaction, she naturally understood Lu Changsheng's personality. He appeared to be non-competitive and easygoing, but deep down, he had a very strong sense of possessiveness and male chauvinism. Now, having developed such ties with senior sister, how could he easily give up? Although she felt a bit emotional about this matter, she was still willing to help, considering how easily Lu Chongqing annoyed their master. Let's just let things take their natural course. Lu Chongqing shook his head and said. He already felt guilty toward Xianxia about this matter, so how could he let her help him pursue Chu Qingyi? He immediately changed the topic, asking Xianxia about her future plans to exchange for the coagulation crystal elixir. Like the Foundation Establishment elixir, as long as a disciple of the Qingyun sect meets the requirements, they can use contribution value to exchange for it. But the coagulation crystal elixir is only obtainable through competition and not exchange, accessible only to true disciples. Indeed, only through competition, not exchange. So even though Xianxia was a disciple of Kaiyun True Immortal, she still had to accumulate her own contributions, complete sect trials, and achieve certain accomplishments to be eligible for the coagulation crystal elixir. In the Tianyuan secret realm previously, I already contributed sufficiently, now I'm just waiting for the next batch of coagulation crystal elixirs to compete for them. Xianxia said softly. The coagulation crystal elixir is extremely rare, and even in the Qingyun sect, the slots are limited and require competition among many. However, her master and senior sister are both nascent soul immortals with a significant voice in the matter. As long as her performance is outstanding, she's very likely to obtain the coagulation crystal elixir. Alright, let me know if you need any help when the time comes. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. In these sect examinations, the elders of the sect usually cannot intervene to help. But if it's tasks like hunting demon kings or slaying heretic cultivators, he can definitely step in to assist. Moreover, such things are not forbidden by the immortal sects. Because connections are also considered a part of one's strength in the cultivation world. Lu Chongqing did not stay long in the Qingyun sect. After chatting with Xianxia for a while, he went to see his son Lu Yunlu. After praising and encouraging him, he gave him 10,000 spirit stones and a third-rank artifact refining heritage. As for Lu Xingyue, she returned to Bai Lake Mountain some time ago and is not currently in Qingyun sect. Afterward, Lu Chongqing went to the Lingyao Peak to visit Zhao Qingqing. Seeing that she was fine, he took her to Bai Lake Mountain to stay for a while. What, Lu Chongqing has broken through to Foundation Establishment late stage. Not only did he break through to Foundation Establishment late stage, but he also has a nascent soul immortal lover. Previously, it was hard to believe Lu Chongqing managed to marry an alchemist who could produce Foundation Establishment elixirs, and now he has found a nascent soul immortal. It's unbelievable. Now that Lu Chongqing has broken through to Foundation Establishment late stage, with his skill in talisman formation, even a false core immortal might not be his match. Moreover, he cultivates the dual cultivation technique with Lu Miaoge. If the two join forces, they'd probably be invincible under core formation. At the same time, the news of Lu Changsheng's return and breakthrough to Foundation Establishment late stage was spreading across the Qingyun region from the Bai Lake Mountain. Not only the Golden Dragon Ridge, Sima family, and Lingxi Xie family were dumbfounded, even the beast-taming Su family was shocked upon hearing this news. Not to mention the matter of the nascent soul immortal. Just the fact that Lu Chongqing returned alive from the Tianyuan secret realm was astounding. Moreover, Lu Chongqing has broken through to Foundation Establishment late stage. One must know that going from Foundation Establishment middle stage to Foundation Establishment late stage is a significant barrier. Lu Chongqing, at only 81 years old, has crossed this barrier, indicating he has a promising future to break through to core formation. Especially since Lu Chongqing is a third-rank talisman master, proficient in talisman formation, and practicing dual cultivation technique with Lu Miaoge, such an individual could already be considered as a false core immortal. CTH Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Could it be that Lu Chongqing is really going to break through to core formation? With his status as a third-rank talisman master, and his family having a top-level alchemist who produces Foundation establishment elixirs, he will surely be able to acquire a third-rank demon core in the future. So even if he cannot break through to core formation, he has a great chance of achieving false core. Lu Chongsheng, Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu. I wonder about Lu Maiage's current cultivation level. I've heard they practice the dual cultivation technique, complementing each other's cultivation realms and benefiting breakthroughs. If Lu Miaoge also breaks through to Foundation establishment late stage, only a core formation immortal could rival the couple. In the early years, many people believed that Lu Chongsheng with his 9th grade spiritual root breaking through the Foundation establishment was a blessing from the heavens. But with the rise of the Bai Lake Mountain Lu family, no one dared to underestimate Lu Chongsheng anymore. All have realized that Lu Chongsheng is definitely not just a 9th grade spiritual root. It's highly probable that he possesses a certain type of spiritual body, or perhaps a mutant spiritual root. Otherwise, even with a superior grade spiritual root, there wouldn't be such cultivation speed. At this moment, all family forces added another layer of dread towards the Bai Lake Mountain Lu family. Misty Rain Market. In the Market Master's cave mansion, 2 glistening and exquisite white jade bodies entwined together, 4 beautiful legs tightly interwoven, jade feet bent like bows, and waists swaying with sweat streaming down. Sister, Fair, huff huff, you, the 2 alluring and charming women were caught in a passionate embrace, inseparable. One voice was coy and alluring, with a touch of delight. The other, slightly heroic voice had a bit of hoarseness, suppressed. After a long time, the 2 took a break, bathing together and enjoying the prepared fruits and food. After enjoying themselves, upon leaving the cave mansion, they came to a hall where Yen Lan checked on recent events in the cultivation world. As the market masters, they paid close attention to various situations in the cultivation world. Lu ancestor of Bai Lake Mountain has returned and even broke through to the Foundation establishment late stage. At this moment, Yen Lan saw a piece of news, her heart skipped a beat, and her expression was surprised. Beside her, Yu Fei glanced with some astonishment, then smiled and marveled. This Lu ancestor managed to rise to such heights in just a few decades, truly extraordinary. Back then, she chose to marry Lu Chongsheng after weighing many aspects, not feeling aggrieved at all. Now, with Lu Chongsheng returning from the Tianyuan's secret realm, she even sees it as a good thing. Although there was some, but she didn't reject such matters. After all, as a mature leftover woman, waiting so long to find a perfect lord like Lu ancestor was quite fortunate. Especially in the past half year, the strength foundation of Bai Lake Mountain had surprised all the forces. Fair, it's all because of my incompetence. Yen Lan sighed and said with some self-blame. If she could break through to the Foundation establishment late stage, even the Sima family wouldn't dare to oppress them easily. Moreover, she knew her sister wanted to procure a second-rank high-grade breakthrough elixir for her. Sister, rest assured, Lu ancestor returning alive is also a good thing for our market. Yu Fei smiled and comforted her sister. During the conversation, she pinned her against the wall, a slender and long beautiful leg sliding between her sister's lush and powerful legs. Fair, back to the cave mansion, Yen Lan quickly spoke. Although usually, as the market master, she was very dignified. But when faced with her sister's fiery passion, she showed another side. By Lake Mountain. Lu Chongsheng toiled away at home for half a month, appearing occasionally, and his wife Lu Miaoyun also reminded him to make a trip to the Misty Rain Market. After all, the Misty Rain Market had initially submitted to the Bai Lake Mountain Lu family on the condition that Lu Chongsheng take the second market master as his concubine. Back then, the matter was delayed due to the Tianyuan's secret realm. Now that had been back for so long, it was time to go. Alright. Lu Chongsheng silently left Bai Lake Mountain and headed towards Misty Rain Market. The lord of the market was a Foundation female cultivator who had recommended herself to him, so Lu Chongsheng planned to treat her well and build up his reputation and goodwill. This way, in the future, other loose cultivator forces might be more willing to consider seeking allegiance from by Lake Mountain. Phew. Lu Chongsheng took a deep breath and exhaled. For the family, he had sacrificed and given so much. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1359, Misty Rain Market. Lu Chongsheng looked at the marketplace in front of him, and instead of sending a direct message to Yufei, he paid 2 spirit stones to obtain an identity tag and entered. After a brief tour of the marketplace, he gained a general understanding of the situation here. It was an ordinary medium-small marketplace, mainly gathered by loose cultivators. The traffic was similar to that of the Red Leaf Valley Market in the old days. However, for these 2 women to rise from mere loose cultivators to this level, they do have some skills. Lu Chongsheng chuckled softly and took a jade talisman from his storage ring and crushed it. A moment later, 2 figures came flying towards the center of the marketplace riding on escape light. One was around 30 years old, tall, alluringly slender, and dressed in a smoky blue gown. Although she was quite beautiful, with fair skin, slender willow-like eyebrows, a straight nose bridge, and a heroic air between her brows, it left her lacking in feminine charm. The other was entirely different. With a face of about 25 or 26 years, slightly petite in build, dressed in a light blue sheer dress, with a silk belt tight around her slim waist, long legs encased in black stockings, and wearing black boots. Her glossy black hair was styled into a cloud bun with a pale blue jade hairpin, and her ears adorned with sparkling gem earrings, her charming face with a slight smile. Greetings, Great Market Master. Greetings, Second Market Master. The loose cultivators and law enforcement cultivators of the marketplace, upon seeing who arrived, immediately had expressions of surprise, admiration, and adoration as they respectfully saluted, not knowing why both market masters appeared simultaneously. Which member of the Lu family are you, Daoist? Yan Lan and Yufei nodded slightly in acknowledgement, then looked at the plain-looking young man before them and asked. Lu Chongsheng chuckled softly, a glow swept over him, and he removed his disguise and camouflage. Suddenly, his ordinary looks transformed into something exquisite and handsome. The simple yet elegant green robe did not lack nobility, accentuating his tall and graceful figure like noble jade, transcendent and ethereal, handsome like a celestial being. Not to mention females, even males could not help but pause for a moment to take a closer look at him. By Lake Mountain, Lu Chongsheng. Lu Chongsheng, with a face like fine jade and eyes deep and bright like the stars, spoke in a warm voice. Greetings, Lu Ancestor. What, he's by Lake Mountain's Lu family ancestor, Lu Chongsheng. Keep your voice down, the name of Lu Ancestor is not for us to call casually. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Such a handsome and ethereal man exists in this world. Whether male or female, all the cultivators present turned their gaze towards Lu Chongsheng. For the female cultivators, at this moment, their beautiful eyes were dazed, as if their souls were captivated by the handsome and ethereal young man before them. Even the 2 market masters of Misty Rain Market were briefly taken aback upon seeing Lu Chongsheng. Lu Chongsheng's aura was simply too transcendent, making it impossible not to feel a sense of admiration and longing. No wonder Fei Er is willing to become a concubine to this Lu ancestor. Yan Lan realized in her heart. Although she had seen the looks of this Lu ancestor in her early years, the painting lacked the slightest bit of his charisma and charm. His long eyebrows were like ink paintings, his eyes deep, dazzling like stars, and seemed to possess a certain magic power. Lu ancestor's esteemed presence, forgive me for not receiving you from afar, please excuse it, please. Yufei's beautiful eyes glistened with crystalline light as she raised her hand with a smile to gesture politely. Market Master Yu is too formal. Lu Chongsheng nodded with a smile and gracefully accompanied the 2 women towards Misty Rain Peak. The two women, though not considered absolute beauties, had looks, appearance, and temperament that were quite pleasing and able to catch the eye of Lu ancestor. I heard that the marketplace is affiliated with the by Lake Mountain Lu family, and now it seems true. Not only that, I heard the condition from Lu family was for the second market master to marry Lu ancestor as a concubine. I heard our second market master proposed this request herself. That's impossible, don't insult my goddess. How could the market master do such a thing? It must be for the sake of the marketplace, coerced by this Lu family ancestor. Seeing Lu Chongsheng leaving with the two market masters, the cultivators of the marketplace immediately began to gossip. Oh, my second market master, I don't know if he'll ever see the market master again. This Lu ancestor already has so many wives and concubines, yet he still takes more, how do we even stand a chance? Brother, don't say that, even without Lu ancestor, the market master wouldn't notice us. Many cultivators were indignant and unwilling. In Lu Changsheng's eyes, Yan Lan and Yu Fei could only be considered ordinary. But in the eyes of these marketplace cultivators, they were revered as goddesses, lofty and untouchable. Now, their goddess was to marry another, naturally leaving them sorrowful and heartbroken. I wonder if Lu ancestor will take another concubine on this visit. Do I have a chance to catch his eye? I've heard Lu ancestor takes concubines less often now. An ordinary female cultivator like me is unlikely to catch his eye. Ah, it's unfortunate to be born 50 years too late, otherwise I might have caught Lu ancestor's favor. Indeed, I heard many women of average appearance married Lu ancestor as concubines in the past. Not only male cultivators but many female cultivators watching Lu Changsheng's departing figure still had dazed eyes, thinking of spending more time around the marketplace, hoping to be favored by Lu ancestor. Not to speak of being a concubine, even serving as a maid, they were willing. Lu Chongsheng accompanied Yan Lan and Yu Fei to the Misty Rain Pavilion. The ambience was elegant, filled with poetic charm. As soon as the three took their seats, maids served platter after platter of spirit fruit delicacies and gourmet dishes. If the hospitality is lacking, please forgive us, Lu ancestor. The second market master, in her light blue sheer dress, was very enthusiastic towards Lu Chongsheng, pouring him wine, her voice soft and gentle. Beside her, Yan Lan watched as her sister showed such joy and enthusiasm in front of this Lu ancestor, without the slightest reservation, feeling a pang of sourness in her heart. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1360, she knew her sister hadn't married yet because she was hoping to find a perfect husband. Considering Yu Fei's cultivation level, appearance, and conditions, many foundation establishment ancestors would certainly be willing to become Dao companions with her. However, either Yu Fei didn't like their family or appearance, or they couldn't offer good conditions, so it's dragged on until now. But now, this Lu ancestor hasn't said anything yet, and her sister is already so proactive and enthusiastic. It's simply, but she could somewhat understand. Her sister had always been focused on appearance, having quite high standards. And this Lu ancestor, whether in appearance, cultivation level, or status, was a top choice. Even she, looking at his handsome visage, felt some stirrings in her heart that had always remained dormant towards men. In the hall, the three were having a delightful conversation. The topics ranged from the marketplace situation to the Sima family, the cultivation world dynamics, the Lu Family Commerce Association, personal experiences, and more. At this moment, Lu Chongsheng also presented the gift he had prepared. It was the high-grade breakthrough elixir he had acquired years earlier from Qiyun True Immortal. He had heard from Lu Miaoyun that this great market master had been stuck at the foundation establishment middle stage for years and was always seeking to purchase the high-grade breakthrough elixir to advance to the foundation establishment late stage. So Lu Chongsheng thought of this elixir. Although the elixir was precious, he still had 2 pills. Besides, strengthening Misty Rain market was beneficial to his family. When news spread of Yan Lan breaking into the Foundation establishment late stage, other forces would likely suspect the breakthrough elixir came from his family. Thank you, Lu Lang. At this moment, the Misty Rain Pavilion master gazed at Lu Changsheng with eyes full of tender love and affection, speaking softly. If her sister weren't here, she would almost collapse into Lu Changsheng's embrace. Meanwhile, Yan Lan, who sat by the side, gradually felt herself unable to fit into the conversation, an undercurrent of jealousy surging in her heart. Lu Lang, I can't handle wine well, may I ask Lu Lang to escort me back to rest? The three had drunk quite a bit. Even Foundation establishment cultivators would feel a little intoxicated from the second-rank spiritual wine. And Yu Fei hadn't used her mana to refine the wine, causing her pale jade-like cheeks to flush lightly. All right. Lu Changsheng chuckled softly, stepped forward to support her delicate body, catching a whiff of a rich fragrance. Even her full bosom lightly brushed against his arm. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. People often say women warm up slowly, but for Lu Ancestor, it wasn't so. The two walked out of the hall and headed toward a cave mansion. Yan Lan watched the scene, seeing them off, feeling not just a pang of jealousy but also a bittersweet sense of loss. Seeing her sister, who had shared mutual affection with her, about to be taken away by someone, as well as feeling like an older unmarried woman seeing a best friend find a perfect partner, a mix of emotions. When Lu Changsheng and Yu Fei arrived at the cave mansion, this usually dignified and pure second market master was practically leaning entirely on Lu Changsheng, her brows soft and alluring. Lu Lang, am I beautiful? Yu Fei's cheeks were flushed, wearing a light blue gauze dress, her black hair in disarray. Her delicate body, though not as tall and graceful as her sister Yan Lan, was also gracefully curved. Lu Changsheng said nothing, responding to her with action. Since she was so proactive, Lu Ancestor naturally disliked dawdling. Moments later, the second market master's gauze dress was in disarray, her cheeks bright red, seemingly resisting, trying to push Lu Changsheng away. Understanding the final modesty of a woman, Lu Changsheng skillfully half-removed her skirt, tearing the black stockings with a rip, and then lovingly embraced her waist and hips. Yan Lan returned to her own cave mansion, looking at the once warm and comfortable place, feeling inexplicably complex, as though a pent-up grievance was hard to dismiss. Remembering how she often confided in her sister about things. And her sister would always help her dispel her worries. But now, she raised the teacup and drank it all down. The usually delicate and naturally calming spiritual tea seemed a bit bitter at this moment. Alas! She froze for a long while, suddenly letting out a long sigh. Thinking she had long accepted that her sister would eventually marry. But now that the day had come, her heart was still heavy with reluctance. After walking out of the cave mansion, she gazed at the vast blue sky without a cloud, then unexpectedly arrived outside her sister's cave mansion as if driven by a strange impulse. Though both their cave mansions were in Misty Rain Pavilion, there were prohibitions set up. Yet for some reason, her sister hadn't activated the prohibition after entering with Lu Ancestor, so from within the cave mansion, faint sobbing sounds mixed with a hint of pleasure wafted out. Yan Lan's brows furrowed like fine willow, her cheeks slightly heated, not expecting them to get intimate so quickly. This Lu Ancestor was truly impatient. But recalling her sister's forwardness earlier, she felt it was possibly her sister's initiative, once again bringing a wave of jealousy. Letting out a sigh, she turned away dejectedly. But after a few steps, she suddenly halted, driven by curiosity about her sister's current condition. Though she understood by he blooming, aware of intimate matters between men and women. She had never seen such acts nor her sister's state. With this thought, she bit her lip, a magic artifact appearing in her hand. Then slowly sent a thread of divine sense into the cave mansion. The next moment, she saw the scene within the cave mansion. Her sister's hair was in disarray, her dress half open, revealing large areas of snowy skin, her alabaster arms supporting on the bed. Even having anticipated it, seeing this scene struck her heart heavily, reaching the peak of jealousy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1361. Lu Changsheng was holding Yu Fang's waist, when he suddenly sensed a faint divine sense power. Even though this divine sense was elusive, making it hard to perceive. But having awakened the Tai divine soul, his divine sense had already reached the core formation peak level. Such subtle instances naturally couldn't escape his senses. Yan Lan? Lu Changsheng felt a bit odd in his heart. Unexpectedly, it was this great market master outside peeking. Could it be that the two market masters of Misty Rain Market had some peculiar hobby? However, in the next moment, he noticed that the Yen market master's breathing was somewhat disorderly, and her face was full of bitterness, sorrow, embarrassment, and a bit of desire. Isn't this a bit like being cucked? As a pure love war god, Lu Changsheng knew a bit about being cuckolded. Back when he was taking concubines, many young people would see their goddess marrying him as a concubine and then drink with a face full of bitterness. The look on Yan Lan's face was exactly like that, even more so. But the problem is, aren't these two sisters? Lu Changsheng vaguely guessed something in his heart. He had previously reviewed Misty Rain Market's information. He knew Yan Lan and Yu Fei, although not biological sisters, were closer than many blood sisters. Since founding Misty Rain Market, for so many years, there had never been any dispute over interests. Previously, he merely marveled at their deep sisterly bond. Now he couldn't help but marvel once again at their deep sisterly bond. Yu Fei closed her beautiful eyes, her eyelashes lightly trembling, her cheeks and sideburns full of flowing fragrant sweat. Suddenly noticing that the Lu ancestor in front of her had some movement, she spoke softly, "Lu Lang, what's wrong?" "It's nothing, just that your sister seems to be outside." Lu Changsheng had always respected women, naturally unwilling to deceive the other person on their first meeting, he spoke gently. Yu Fei's delicate body suddenly trembled, her beautiful legs in black boots went weak. Unexpectedly, her sister was actually outside. Though her sister had long expressed readiness mentally and wished her well. But after nearly 100 years of being together, she naturally knew her sister didn't let go that easily, would have some little emotions, planned to finish matters and then go find her. But never expected, her sister would come now, and was outside. What is her sister doing outside? Wait. At this point, she also noticed that she had forgotten to reopen her cave mansion's prohibition. "Lu Lang," she hurriedly called out, wanting to signal to stop. "No worries, I don't mind, let's continue." Lu Changsheng holding the other's plump waist, empathetic as he strongly thrust forward. Encountering such a situation for the first time, Lu Changsheng's heart also surged with a peculiar joy. "Yu Fei? You don't mind, I do." But for some reason, knowing her sister was outside watching her now, her heart inexplicably surged with a unique thrilling emotion, only feeling her silk-soft body trembling uncontrollably. Yan Lan? Their dialogue was not transmitted through divine sense, she naturally captured it. Already feeling ashamed and furious, wanting to leave quickly and find a stone to crash into. But upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, a sense of anger surged in her heart. This Lu ancestor was completely shameless, the most shameless of all. Knowing she was outside, he didn't care at all. Even seemed to intensify his actions towards her sister. Sarch * the Nell Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What was this, provoking her? Yan Lan as a foundation establishment cultivator, also had a sense of stubbornness. Usually her sister Yu Fei could persuade her. But at this moment, she wanted to see how long this Lu ancestor could remain shameless and clandestine. No, her sister had already offered tea to that Lu main mother before, so it wasn't counted as clandestine. As she was lost in thought, Lu Changsheng was already holding Yu Fei and changing positions. Originally thinking her novice, Lu ancestor chose gentle movements, gradually progressing. But now in this situation, Lu ancestor immediately showcased his skills. Embraced Yu Fei, who had already turned red as a rosy sunset, her eyes blurred, on the verge of tears, unable to speak a word. Even knowing her sister was outside, she had nothing to say, even felt a thrill, wanting to ask her sister. Her look, outside the cave mansion, Yan Lan's breathing had long been rapid, her face burning like fire. Although her heart was sore and unbearable, she was still angry, feeling her sister was being thus defiled. Usually, she and her sister both, at this moment, feeling as though her heart was twisted, aching unbearably. At that moment, Lu Chongqing suddenly hugged his sister toward the outside. She saw her usually playful and dignified sister, her elegant sister, with cheeks like peach blossoms in February now, extraordinarily beautiful. Moreover, seemed to exude a beauty never seen before in her brow. Yu Fei eyes half open and half closed, as if through the cave mansion seeing her sister watching. Suddenly overwhelmed by shyness, a unique thrill surged, exhilarating trembles, her jade feet in black boots tensed, tightly curling up. Outside, Yan Lan hands clenched, emotions complex. Originally belonging to her self-sister, now being treated this way by another. Besides shame and anger, bitterness intertwined, there was also a sense of jealousy and inexplicable emotion. Huff huff huff. Her burning hot body limp and powerless, panting heavily for a while, choosing to leave this place. Today's impact was too much for her. Even though she was a foundation establishment cultivator, having traveled this far, with countless trials, she couldn't bear to watch any longer. The symphony of life in the cave mansion continued for an unknown duration. Lu Chongqing felt invigorated, holding Yu Fei. The other's white skin flushed, limp as mud lying in his arms. At this moment, Yu Fei still breathing fragrant, it took a while to recover. Her face full of shame and frustration, her voice sultry and soft, like silk said, "How will I face sister after this?" Although she felt thrilled just now, with intention to stop. But against Lu ancestor's tricks, she had no power to resist. Facing such relentless whipping, she suspected Lu ancestor had besides broken through foundation establishment late stage, also had body refinement strength. Since besides her third level of foundation establishment, she had first grade top level body refinement strength. Yet despite this, she still found it unbearable. Stopping at that moment makes it harder to face others, later acting as if you know nothing is fine. Besides, she was piqued at us. If she's not guilty, why should we be? Lu Chongqing put her on the bed, drew her into his arms, said naturally. After deep communication, the two's relationship naturally warmed up quite a bit. Yu Fei's face annoyed, thinking how she couldn't help but feel guilty. I feel Fei really liked it at that time, didn't she? Lu Chongqing pinched the sleek and supple skin, whispered. Lu ancestor had long been able to glimpse through the curtain. During the process, naturally detecting her unusual state. Convinced that these two sisters had already crossed paths, blooming lilies. Lu Lang, don't say any more, Yu Fei face ashamed and furious said. As Misty Rain Market's second market master, usually responsible for many things, not someone easily embarrassed. Otherwise, she couldn't face Lu Chongqing so openly, even volunteering herself. But today really was too thrilling. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly, said nothing more, they quietly embraced resting. After resting for a long time, Yu Fei buried her head in Lu Chongqing's strong chest, heart gradually calming, realizing something tantalizingly intriguing. This Lu ancestor, facing such circumstances then, yet did such thing, could it be, thinking of sister? Once this thought emerged, she immediately believed it was true. After all, this Lu ancestor well known. Her and sister famous, how could he possibly give up sister? Besides, their relation might spark many men's heart a desire to conquer, right? Yu Fei recalling the process, suffuses her heart with thrilling emotions again, her legs gently rubbing. Yet thinking of her sister's situation, her heart turned somber. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1362. After Yen Lan returned to her cave mansion, her cheeks remained blushing like rosy clouds, filled with shame and anger. She picked up the tea on the table and drank it in one gulp, but still felt somewhat dry-mouthed. Huff, huff, huff. She took several deep breaths, trying to calm down and dispel the images lingering in her mind. But the more she tried, the clearer those previous scenes became, making her anxious, her breathing rapid, unable to calm down for a long time. Then, she went to the meditation cushion, sat cross-legged, and closed her eyes to cultivate. Yet now, as soon as she closed her eyes, the image of her sister being toyed with by Lu Changsheng in all kinds of ways appeared in her mind, making it impossible for her to calm down. At that moment, she felt that her back had unknowingly become soaked with fine sweat, feeling sticky and uncomfortable all over. She immediately went to the bath pool to bathe. Thinking of the joy lingering between her sister's brows and eyes before, she lightly slid her hands down. But the electrifying sensation suddenly made her entire body shiver violently, a look of disgust appearing on her face. After soaking in the water for a long time, she finally suppressed those images in her mind, draped a simple gauze dress over herself, stepped out of the bath pool with her powerful and voluptuous legs, took a bottle of incense from the cabinet, lit it, and lay down on the bed to sleep. But those previous images surfaced again in her mind, making it difficult for her to sleep. No one knows how long it was until this owner of the smoke market finally fell into a drowsy sleep. Even in her dreams, images still churned endlessly in her mind. One moment she dreamed of Lu Changsheng and her sister Yu Fei holding hands, intimately close. Another moment, she dreamed of her sister chatting with her, but all their words and conversations couldn't leave Lu Changsheng. The scene spun, and again she dreamed of today's scene. Her own sister's cheeks were blushing, a shy expression on her face, played with repeatedly by Lu Changsheng in delight. Just then, she suddenly saw Lu Changsheng in the cave mansion actually carrying her sister out of the cave mansion, looking straight at her. Has the owner of the smoke market watched for so long, perhaps wanting to join us? The handsome young man held her sister as if holding a child, then gazed at her greedily, intending to commit something indecent. She instinctively scolded. But she found that she couldn't make any sound. She couldn't even move an inch. Suddenly, there was a rustling sound, her clothes forcibly undone, revealing splendor. With the scene changing, she seemed to take on a god's eye view, seeing herself under Lu Changsheng's assault, becoming just like her sister's expression. Ah! Her delicate body trembled fiercely, screamed, and suddenly awoke from the bed. Her body wrapped in the sheer dress was already burning hot like fire, covered in fine sweat beads. Even her smooth and full forehead, the curve of her swan-like neck, her flat and tight abdomen, were all seeping with sweat. Was I dreaming? The owner of the smoke market, originally too rigid and lacking in femininity, now had cheeks flushed like rosy clouds, adding a few more traces of allure. Cultivators rarely dream after reaching the foundation establishment. Unless their state is weak, or they have experienced deviation, or their mind is disturbed, could they possibly dream? She knew that she was severely impacted by previous events, thus having such a nightmare. That Lu Changsheng's reputation for lust is well known, yesterday's behavior, perhaps schemes like this. Yen Lan's face burned, biting her lips lightly. Although at first glance yesterday, her first impression of Lu Changsheng was fairly good. But after seeing the situation with her sister, her perception dropped sharply. Considering Lu Changsheng's reputation for women, she felt Lu Changsheng might really be plotting what she saw in the dream. If so, wouldn't Feifei be inviting trouble into our home? Yen Lan bit her lip tight, her heart filled with concern. If Lu Ancestor truly intended to harm her, she was certainly not his match. Moreover, her sister was infatuated at first sight, marrying as a concubine, it would be hard for her to confront him openly. Sigh, Her voluptuous and powerful legs sat cross-legged on the bed, her hands vigorously grasping her silky black hair, feeling restless. If it were usual times, she would immediately ask her sister Yu Fei how to handle this. Sar the novel_fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But now, moreover, thinking of the dream where she was bullied by Lu Chongsheng, her sister Yu Fei remained indifferent, did not intervene, even preparing to help the evildoer. Meanwhile, Lu Chongsheng was chatting with his children guarding the Misty Rain Market, concerned about the market situation. Unaware of Yan Lan's thoughts. If he knew, he would surely feel speechless, cursing the woman as absurd. Although Lu Ancestor was indeed somewhat interested in these two Lily sisters, it was merely just that. How could he coerce them? Moreover, Lu Ancestor champions respecting women and not acting against their wishes. Father, there were 3 Lu family disciples guarding the Misty Rain Market. The leader was named Lu Yunfei. He was the son of Lu Chongsheng and by family's daughter by Feifei, born in earlier years, now at the peak of qi cultivation. Once this mission is over, he would return home to attempt foundation establishment. Lu Yunfei respectfully reported the general situation of Misty Rain Market and their subsequent arrangements for the market. After all, Misty Rain Market is a vassal to Bai Lake Mountain, so it's obviously not simple as earning enough profits annually. They must also allow Bai Lake Mountain to open stores in the marketplace, establish workshops, recruit loose cultivators. This way, Bai Lake Mountain not only gains considerable profit but also enhances its reputation. Just manage things as you see fit. The main focus should be on cultivation, not daily trivial matters. Lu Chongsheng listened for a while and then spoke up, showing little interest in these matters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1363. The annual tribute income from Misty Rain Market is at most 10 to 20,000 spirit stones. After opening the shop and establishing workshops, the revenue might increase, but still at most 30 to 40,000 spirit stones. For a foundation establishment family, this is indeed a significant sum. But for Lu Chongsheng, it's better than nothing. Moreover, a large number of spirit stones is needed for initial preparation. It might take 3 to 5 years, or even 10 years to see the effects of the investment. Yes, father. The 3 of them, including Lu Yunfei, said respectfully, knowing that their father always has little interest in these matters. However, while the other party can afford not to care, he cannot afford to be careless. Upon hearing the news of his father's return from the Tianyuan secret realm, he had already prepared himself. After discussing the general situation of the Misty Rain Market with his son, Lu Chongsheng pondered for a moment and then returned to the Misty Rain Pavilion. His main purpose on this trip was to establish a relationship with Yu Fei. Now that they have a direct relationship, naturally the next step is to have a child. In the elegant cave mansion of Misty Rain Pavilion, filled with the fragrance of sandalwood. Creak! 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 The crisp sound and the noise of the bedstead continuously echoed. Suddenly, the bedstead, crafted from second-rank spiritual wood with exquisite workmanship and calming effects, collapsed under the pressure. Yu Fei, who was leaning on the bedstead, let out a long whimper, as if her entire being had melted. This Lu ancestor was incredibly vigorous. If she hadn't had foundation establishment cultivation and first-grade top-level body refinement, she felt entirely incapable of withstanding Lu Changsheng's onslaught. Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If it were my sister, I think she would be able to. At this moment, she thought of her sister, Yan Lan. The other not only has foundation establishment 6th layer cultivation. She also broke through to 2nd rank in body refinement years ago, her physical strength far surpassing ordinary people. But she wasn't just thinking of dragging her sister down with her. Earlier, when she went to see her sister Yan Lan, she noticed something was off in her appearance and demeanor. When the two sisters chatted, there seemed to be an invisible barrier between them. Having depended on each other for many years, she naturally knew what was going on. It must have been her excessive initiative towards Lu ancestor that made her sister a bit uncomfortable at heart. Then, coincidentally, her sister came to her cave mansion and saw her with Lu ancestor, so faced with this situation, an idea arose in her heart to call her sister to marry Lu Chongqing together. Not only could it eliminate the rift between the two sisters, but it could also share the pressure for her. Furthermore, after entering by Lake Mountain, they could continue to support each other. Husband, I really can't continue. Seeing Lu Chongqing still full of vigor, Yu Fei's delicate body trembled sharply, her cheeks charmingly said. It's always been said that there's only an exhausted ox, and no field that gets spoilt from plowing. But facing this Lu ancestor, she felt she had been completely played out. No worries, Fei, you should rest well. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly, knowing pregnancy was something that couldn't be rushed. Having just broken through to the core formation stage and even condensed a yin-yang Great Tao golden core, made it increasingly difficult to conceive. Even with the 5 aggregates proliferation method, it would take at least a month and a half of effort, or even 1 or 2 months, to have a probability of conceiving. After resting for a while, Yu Fei walked towards her sister's residence, her legs still trembling slightly. She touched her slightly bulging belly, wondering if she could conceive. She didn't mind pregnancy in the least. After all, at her age, with her talent, there was no hope of forming a core. Under such circumstances, it's natural to have the idea of giving birth to descendants to continue the bloodline. She even chose to marry Lu Chongqing with some thoughts in this regard. Because of Lu Pingan, Lu Wangsha's reputation, and the situation of the Lu family disciples, there were already rumors outside that Lu Chongqing might be some kind of reproductive spiritual body. Not only did he have exceptional talent in dual cultivation, but there was also a certain degree of enhancing the spiritual root talent of his children. Were it not so, even if the Lu family ancestor's grave exploded, such luck couldn't have existed, could it? So she also hoped that she could give birth to such a remarkably talented child. Not that it was about some status elevation by child. It's just the traditional concept of the cultivation world, bloodline continuation, passing the flame, and trusting her aspirations for immortality and Tao seeking on her children. Second Manor Lord, greetings. Manor Lord, greetings. Besides Yan Lan and Yu Fei, Misty Rain Pavilion still had some orphans and maids they personally nurtured. Seeing her come over, they immediately showed respectful expressions. A moment later, she found her sister in a pavilion building. Today, Yan Lan wore a smoke-green soft armor, with a cape fastened on her shoulder, making her already tall figure appear even more slender, giving her an imposing and heroic presence. Fei. Yan Lan looked at her sister, her clear eyes reflecting a complex expression. Previously, her sister had given her a second-rank high-grade breakthrough elixir. But during these days, she could hardly calm her mind to cultivate. Sister. Seeing her sister in such a state, Yu Fei naturally knew she had something on her mind. She immediately sauntered forward, her delicate body naturally sat in her sister's embrace, her luscious red lips kissing her sister's full, moist lips. Fei, Yan Lan's face showed slight surprise, somewhat at a loss. Previously seeing her sister enamored with Lu Chongqing, and with the two staying secluded for days, her heart filled with a sense of desolation without compare, even experiencing a feeling of life losing meaning. Now seeing her sister still being the same as before, all the feelings, grievances pent up in her heart over these days surged out, and she tightly held her sister, and they lost themselves in a kiss. A moment later, both of their faces were flushed, exchanging hot breaths. Fei, close the door, Yan Lan softly chanted, urgently saying. In earlier years, there would have been no one to disturb them here. But now, Misty Rain Pavilion had an additional Lu ancestor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1364, if it were me and my sister, and this Lu ancestor suddenly appeared, watching from outside, the scene would be unimaginable. The next moment, the attic door closed, prohibitions activated, and the two were instantly engulfed in fiery passion, skirts and soft armor slipping to the floor. The two jade-like bodies pressed tightly together, fragrant sweat dripping, inseparable, continually rubbing and grinding. A moment later, Yan-Lan entered the valley and suddenly smelled an extremely strange scent. This was a scent she had never smelled before. Before she could return to her senses and realize what was happening, a torrent suddenly surged from the depths of the valley. Boom! The next moment, she realized what was happening. Meili's eyes were instantly filled with shame and anger, her face blushing like a red sunset, vibrant and alluring. Yu Fei also felt a bit shy, completely forgetting about it. Seeing her sister's appearance, a sense of unprecedented thrill surged in her heart. She paused, embraced her sister, and whispered softly in her ear, "Sister." On this day, Lu Chongsheng and Yu Fei walked into the cave mansion. After these days of interaction, the two were already very familiar with the process. However, at this moment, a strange expression appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. Because his divine sense noticed as soon as he entered the cave mansion that someone was hidden inside the wardrobe. Although the wardrobe had simple prohibitions that isolated aura, and the person inside was concealing their magic aura, he discovered it immediately. What's going on? These two sisters, not only are they deeply connected, is there perhaps some special interest between them? Lu Chongsheng felt odd. If Yan-Lan appearing outside Yu Fei's cave mansion could have been a coincidence before, there was now no way to explain it, although Lu ancestor didn't mind others watching. But the relationship between the two women made him feel strange. However, after hesitating for a moment, Lu Chongsheng no longer thought about it. Since this Misty Rain Pavilion owner needed her sister to help liven things up, and the Misty Rain Market owner in the closet liked this observation, Lu ancestor was willing to make a match of it. Moreover, with this Misty Rain Market owner in the closet, Lu Chongsheng was also somewhat interested. Especially seeing Yan-Lan with a flushed face, heavy breathing, tightly clenched fists, her heart flooded with waves of emotion, moving between shame and anger, heartache and jealousy, all intertwined. Lu Chongsheng found it very intriguing. A moment later, the sound like raindrops on a banana leaf made Yan-Lan's heart wrench in the closet. Was it a coincidence or not? This Lu ancestor and her sister were positioned just right towards the wardrobe, allowing her to clearly see the tenderness and passion between the two. Watching her beloved sister in a man's arms, her face shy and delightful, sometimes in pain, sometimes intolerable, sometimes lost and trembling, she felt her throat dry and sweet. After who knows how long, Yu Fei suddenly let out a delicate moan and weakly called for her sister to save her. The wardrobe trembled slightly, and Yan-Lan appeared inside. Lu Chongsheng saw this scene, slightly stunned, with a peculiar expression. Did the Misty Rain Market owner want to join in too? Although he didn't mind, the look on her face seemed unwilling. Lu Chongsheng cast an inquiring glance at Yu Fei. Soon, she explained to him that her sister, in her youth, had witnessed a forced event. Since then, a shadow lodged in her heart, a heart demon, deeply hating men, especially regarding matters between men and women. And as the two sisters had depended on each other for so many years, her sister ultimately couldn't let her go. If it continued like this, it was inevitable a rift would form between the sisters, unable to be as close as before. So they came up with a plan to marry Lu Chongsheng together. Just hoping Lu Chongsheng would treat her sister more gently. After speaking, Yu Fei's face turned red with embarrassment. I see. Lu Chongsheng felt a sudden realization upon hearing this. He said nothing, looking at Yan-Lan, waiting for her to make her own choice. After all, he was not too sure about matters like by he, only knowing that being taken by a man was like a man being taken by a man. So he didn't want to force her, letting her decide. Yan-Lan looked at her sister, then at Lu Chongsheng, clenching her fists, summoning up some courage, but still looked afraid, then looked at her sister somewhat woodenly. Yu Fei sighed softly, immediately stepping forward to hug her sister. The two were already very familiar with each other on normal days, but with Lu Changsheng at the side, Yu Fei felt a bit more awkward. But Yan Lan, in Lu Changsheng's presence, didn't have much shyness, treating him as if he were heir. "Sister, have you made up your mind?" Yu Fei did not want her sister's first time to be so rushed and then hold it against her. "Fei, I've made up my mind." Yan Lan hesitated for a moment before nodding and saying. But when facing Lu Changsheng, she was still somewhat scared. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng reluctantly exerted some effects of his impurity-hiding heavenly fragrant body. With this effect, Yan Lan felt slightly better, but still afraid. Yu Fei, seeing this, immediately comforted her sister. A moment later, the normally strong and tough Yan Lan showed a face full of grievance, leaning her delicate head against her sister's embrace, sobbing softly. Lu Changsheng was also at a loss, thinking to himself that such a sister was really hard to serve. However, considering that she was at Foundation Establishment middle stage cultivation level, and with the aid of the breakthrough elixir, she would soon make a breakthrough to Foundation Establishment late stage, Lu Ancestor was patient, silently circulating his cultivation technique, displaying his superior skills. Planning to let her get used to it and taste the pleasure, then let her understand the power. How can playing the zither compare to a true dragon? At this moment, Lu Changsheng also felt a sense of small achievement in his heart. With the two working together, Yan Lan was no longer as resistant as before, gradually entering the right groove. However, she still couldn't be as natural and carefree as Yu Fei, needing to rest after a session. Lu Changsheng didn't mind this. Her situation was completely different from Yu Fei, not only having some resistance to him, but also being slower to warm up. In such circumstances, he needed to use more heat quickly to warm up. And so, a month passed. During these days, Lu Changsheng had been cultivating in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Through his relentless efforts, Yu Fei finally conceived offspring. As for Yan Lan, she was not yet pregnant. However, Lu Changsheng was not in a hurry for her to conceive. Once a female cultivator becomes pregnant, her cultivation level combat ability will be affected about half a year later. Now that the Misty Rain market owner still had to oversee the marketplace, if both sisters were to become pregnant, it would not be ideal should any trouble arise. And after this month of comings and goings, Yan Lan was not as repulsed by Lu Changsheng anymore. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, when it was the three of them, she still leaned towards enjoying the time with her sister, responding to Lu Ancestor somewhat perfunctorily. Lu Changsheng roughly guessed a bit about this mentality and didn't pay much attention to it. As long as there was Yu Fei, this Misty Rain market owner would be a matter of time. This trip had taken quite a while. Now that Yu Fei was pregnant, he didn't continue staying at the Misty Rain market, giving a few simple instructions, and then returned to buy Lake Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1365. After Lu Changsheng returned to buy Lake Mountain, he routinely inquired about the family situation. Lu Miaoyun indicated that all the second-rank cave mansions at home had been established, with 5 concubines ready for foundation establishment at any time. However, the Lu family currently does not have enough foundation establishment elixirs, so Lu Changsheng must personally refine them. Because Li Xingrua, at present, can only guarantee 1 elixir per batch when refining the foundation establishment elixir, which is far from Lu Changsheng's standard of forming 3 pills per batch, each of top-grade quality, even supreme grade. Alright, I'll arrange for that. Lu Changsheng nodded and said. The Lu family isn't actually lacking in foundation establishment elixirs, it's just relative. Now, with every child at home preparing for breakthroughs and his wives and concubines also needing breakthroughs, even for by Lake Mountain, it's somewhat strenuous. After all, the places needing the celestial spirit saliva are simply too numerous to always use it for cultivating heavenly spirit fruits. They can only rely on refining foundation-building elixirs for others in order to keep the surplus ones. After chatting for a while, Lu Chongqing inquired if his daughter, Lu Wangshu, had returned. He hadn't seen this precious daughter for so long and missed her a bit. Wangshu and Ling Xiao took over the Sima family's shops and spirit land, needing to watch over them for a period, so it won't be so soon before they return. Lu Miaoyun gently massaged Lu Chengsheng's shoulders and softly said. The Sima family naturally wouldn't dare tamper with the shops and spirit land. But if the Lu family wanted to get these spirit lands and shops operating, there had to be someone to sit firmly and guard them. It's not that they're afraid the Sima family will cause trouble, but with Bai Lake Mountain's current state, these large family forces are less likely to make casual moves. Most of the time, it's loose cultivators and robber cultivators causing trouble. After all, they have no ties and are like lone wolves, committing a crime and then easily disguising and fleeing to another place, making them hard to track down. Moreover, the shops and spirit land compensated by the Sima family are upper class. Without sufficient intimidation to guard them, once they start operating, they would be prime targets for robber cultivators and heretic cultivators. Lu Chongqing nodded, feeling both sentimental and somewhat gratified. Now, the Lu family had truly gotten on the right track, with all the children busy. Apart from the eldest son Lu Pingan, who went out with Qin Yi for a trip recently, everyone else had responsibilities. Lu Qingxian was stationed at Flower Fruit Mountain. Lu Qingsong was stationed at White Tiger Mountain. Lu Rui was in charge of the Lu family's caravan. Lu Xingchen and Lu Caizhen were stationed at Red Leaf Valley Market. The reason two people were stationed at Red Leaf Valley was partly because neither was adept at fighting and also because Red Leaf Valley Market was becoming more prosperous, with people coming and going every day. They couldn't rely solely on Qingzhou Mountain. Moreover, now that Lu Yuanzhong was old, and one of the family's pillars, Lu Chenghua, had left with some disciples from Qingzhou Mountain 2 years ago to establish a branch in the Imperial Spirit Sects domain. Under such circumstances, Bai Lake Mountain naturally had to take over the responsibility of guarding Red Leaf Valley. After chatting with Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao, Lu Chongqing came to check on Bai Ling. She had been pregnant for a year and 4 months already, but there was no sign of labor. It was worth noting that when Ling Zixiao was pregnant with Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi, she gave birth after just over a year. This made Lu Chongqing increasingly look forward to the child in Bai Ling's belly. After keeping company with his wives and concubines, Lu Chongqing went to visit Nangong Mili in the formless treasure wheel within Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Worried that the woman might cause trouble, Lu Chongqing had placed the formless treasure wheel in the cave heaven when going to Misty Rain Market, suppressed through Mount Sumeru. Dog of a man. The first words upon their meeting were a familiar greeting. Lu Chongqing paid no heed to such words. In fact, he enjoyed seeing her put up such a stubborn front. Then, using the yin-yang energies, he nurtured her golden core while she maintained her stubborn front but was honest in action. With his breakthrough to core formation, the effect of the yin-yang energies was greatly enhanced. For someone like Nangong Mili with a 4th grade true elixir, it would likely take about 100 sessions to upgrade to a 3rd grade golden core. Although 100 sessions may sound like a lot compared to other heavenly and earthly treasures used to enhance true elixirs, it was extremely miraculous. C.Th. Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It meant that if Lu Chongqing focused all his energy on nurturing one person's true elixir, it would take about 3 years to upgrade a 4th grade true elixir to a 3rd grade golden core. If Lu Chongqing released this information, countless nascent soul female cultivators would flock to Bai Lake Mountain to offer themselves. Of course, it would also make numerous cultivators and forces want to capture Lu Chongqing. In this light, the Tongyu Phoenix marrow body truly is extraordinary. At this moment, Lu Chongqing thought of Yun Wansheng's situation. She too was nurturing her golden core with his yin-yang energies, yet her method was entirely different from other women. She drew the yin-yang energies into her body, using her spiritual body to nurture this wisp of yin-yang energies, growing it continuously, and then using it to nurture her golden core. She didn't need to always rely on Lu Changsheng's yin-yang energies to nurture her golden core. Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng felt a bit wistful. If this Kaiyun true immortal still needed the yin-yang energies, he might have had a chance to turn the tables. Dog of a man, when are you going to let me out? Nangong Mili's enchanting body was alluring, her entire presence oozing a silky smoothness that stoked desires. Especially now, with her snow-white skin covered in fine beads of sweat, showing a pinkish sheen. When Mili behaves obediently and births 10 or 8, it might just be enough. Lu Changsheng snapped back to reality, looking at her seductive and charming pitiable demeanor. He gave a playful pinch and lightly chuckled. You're delusional. Nangong Mili got flustered hearing these words. She had long suspected Lu Changsheng had such thoughts. Hearing him finally reveal his wolfish ambition made her instantly fearful. After all, in her view, experiencing pregnancy once was more than enough. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1366. Moreover, with a daughter like Yao Yao, she is already quite content. If she were to give birth to 10 or 8 more, what would that be? Just thinking about it makes her shiver. Lu Changsheng initially was just joking around, teasing the other party. Unexpectedly, the usually tough-talking Nangong Mili showed such an expression, which piqued his interest. He embraced her stunning figure and whispered in her ear, "What? You think it's too few? It's okay, as long as Mili likes it, I wouldn't mind even more children." Get lost. You dog, Jianghu sect marketplace. In a shop with the signboard Little Bamboo Pavilion. Sister Qingzhu, don't be so unapproachable. There's a banquet next month. If you attend with me, I promise I won't bother you anymore. A handsome young man in a brocade robe, holding a folding fan and putting on a charming demeanor, said to the woman in front of him. The woman's appearance was serene and beautiful, wearing a rainbow feather garment, with an ethereal and transcendent temperament. The man in the brocade robe looked at Lu Qingzhu before him, his eyes filled with a pounding heart. The present Lu Qingzhu not only had outstanding looks and temperament, but her brother Lu Qingshan was also a true disciple of the Jianghu sect and a nascent soul seed. If he could become Dao companions with her, not only could he hope for advancement within the sect, but even the family status would greatly improve. Brother Yi, I have no interest in you. Please respect yourself and don't disturb my shop's business. Lu Qingzhu pursed her lips and said aloud. She had been in the sect for many years and naturally had many people approach and pursue her. Especially since her brother Lu Qingshan frequently went on missions over the years, fearing she would be bored alone, he set up a shop in the Jianghu sect marketplace for her to pass the time, leading to many peers, even clan cultivators, harassing her. Sister Qingzhu, your shop earns at most 1,000 spirit stones per day. If you would just see the novel, F.I.R. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The man in the brocade robe chuckled and continued to speak. This fairy Qingzhu had a temper completely opposite to her brother Lu Qingshan, known for her well-tempered disposition. So they often resorted to pestering tactics against Lu Qingzhu. Just then, on the street, a handsome youth with a strong build and bright eyes confidently walked into the Little Bamboo Pavilion, calling out loudly, "Little Bamboo." However, when he saw the man in the brocade robe, his eyes narrowed immediately, and a murderous intent flashed. The man in the brocade robe shuddered upon seeing the youth, respectfully saying, "Greetings, Brother Lu." He then cupped his hands toward Lu Qingzhu, saying, "Sister Lu, I have some matters to attend to, so I must take my leave." He knew well that years ago, when an inner sect disciple harassed Lu Qingzhu, he was beaten almost to death by Lu Qingshan within the sect. If it weren't for the arrival of the enforcement hall, the person might even have been killed by Lu Qingshan. But they dared to approach Lu Qingzhu because they knew Lu Qingshan was usually absent. Moreover, this sister Lu was known for her good temper. As long as they didn't go too far, she wouldn't complain to Lu Qingshan. "You dog, I've warned you many times, and yet you still dare to harass my sister?" Lu Qingshan raised his sword-like eyebrows, his expression cold, as he strode forward and grabbed the man's neck, lifting him up. "Brother Lu, I didn't, I just came to buy something from Sister Lu." The young man in the brocade robe trembled as he spoke. Although he was a Foundation establishment cultivator, facing Lu Qingshan, he didn't even have the courage to fight back. "Brother." Lu Qingzhu quickly called out upon witnessing this scene, fearing that her brother would act recklessly. After all, fighting was prohibited both in the sect and in the marketplace. Previously, her brother was confined for half a year by the enforcement hall for severely injuring someone in the sect and had to make amends through tasks. If not for her brother's exceptional talent, such an incident would not have been punished so lightly and easily dismissed. Boom! Lu Qingshan snorted coldly, sword chi swirling in his palm, and then heavily threw him outside onto the street, his face turning pale, and he spat out blood. "If I see you again, I'll kill you." Lu Qingshan's eyes were as sharp as two swords, making one dare not meet his gaze. The cultivators on the street were shocked and uncertain upon seeing this scene, wondering who had the audacity to cause trouble in the marketplace. Did they not know this was under the Jianghu sect? "Thank you, Brother Lu." The young man in the brocade robe knew that Lu Qingshan was truly capable of doing such things, thinking about how unlucky he was to run into this devil upon his return. He clutched his chest, suppressing the overbearing sword chi within, and thanked him before leaving in embarrassment. "Little Bamboo, you really don't need to pay too much mind to people like that. The nicer you are, the more they'll push their limits." Lu Qingshan habitually ruffled his sister's black silky hair and said, "Brother, I understand." Lu Qingzhu bowed her head and whispered, "Sai, what do you mean you understand?" Lu Qingshan smiled wryly at his sister's demeanor. But he also knew his sister's character. As long as things weren't too excessive, she wouldn't bother with others. Additionally, she acted this way to avoid causing trouble for him. "Brother, you must be tired from your task this time, right?" Lu Qingzhu pouted and gently changed the topic, pouring tea for him. Then, the siblings sat down nearby, and Lu Qingshan recounted his task experience to his sister. Though the task was dangerous, he spoke of it lightly and easily, as if it was a breeze. After which, he took out a pile of heavenly and earthly treasures from his storage bag. Because Lu Qingzhu had a spiritual pet, the Earth Spirit Mouse, she could identify treasures. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1367. Lu Qingzhu herself usually likes to read books and has trained in pupil skills, making her somewhat of a treasure appraiser. So Lu Qingshan opened this shop for his sister, doing business in this area. Every time he came back from a mission, he would consign the heavenly and earthly treasures he obtained to his sister's shop, making the Little Bamboo Loft business quite successful in the Jianghu sect's marketplace. "Little Bamboo, I don't have anything to do next, and just in half a month, the spiritual vessel of the Jianghu sect will head to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, so we can go home for a visit." Lu Qingshan looked at his sister's quiet demeanor, smiled, and said. He actually felt indifferent about going home. After all, a man travels the world, how can he always long for his hometown? The day he truly wants to return must be the day he's famous, makes a great name, shakes the U country, and forms his golden core. However, his sister Lu Qingzhu is different from him in personality and is very attached to home. Now that he has time, he is naturally willing to accompany his sister to visit home. Additionally, he remembered his father advised earlier to return when there's time to reforge the heavenly circulation starry sword. But besides reforging the sword, he has one more thing he wants to ask his father. As time passes, his cultivation level increases, and his sword Dao continues to advance, the sword seed within him has almost fused with him. In this process, he can clearly feel the increasing enhancement it brings to him. In such a situation, he is also somewhat curious about where his father obtained this sword seed. After all, he's no longer a novice in cultivation. He clearly realizes the preciousness of this sword seed, which is definitely not something his father picked up casually, as had said. Yeah, okay. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingzu's eyebrows curved with a smile, and she happily responded. Then she immediately asked her brother what gifts she should prepare. Just a token will do. Lu Qingshan said somewhat speechlessly. Even with their situation, no matter how rich, they can't afford it. Moreover, it's not easy for his sister to earn spirit stones. After chatting for a while, he also asked his sister if she acquired any treasures lately. Lu Qingshan has always disliked owing favors. In the past, he obtained the heavenly circulation starry sword embryo from Lu Rui, and he's always remembered this matter. So, over the years, he has also prepared a few treasures. But in his view, these few treasures still fall short compared to the heavenly circulation starry sword embryo, so he's planning to prepare more, by Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. In Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged, a green lotus seat spinning in front of him. Refining this treasure Emperor Lotus is not easy. After a long while, he opened his eyes, took a deep breath, and said with emotion. If not for the Tianyuan true monarch helping him establish a connection with the treasure Emperor Lotus, it would take 3 to 5 years to refine this lotus seat into a second Dantian. He didn't bury himself in refining, he walked out of the cave mansion, intending to relax, oh no, to strive for the family's future. Just as he exited Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing saw in the distance the stump-like peachwood spirit womb flowing with pink radiance, 9 peach blossoms, exquisitely crafted like jade, breathing in spiritual energy, extraordinarily beautiful. Lu Chongqing knew that this sign indicated Hong Lian would soon complete the reconstruction of her physical body and break out of the womb. He was delighted. Once Hong Lian's physical body is reconstructed, he could head to the Jin Kingdom without worry. As soon as he stepped out of the cave heaven, Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow, seeing a swirl of nature's spiritual energy forming a vortex in the distant back mountain, indicating someone was attempting a foundation establishment breakthrough. And judging by the looks of it, the breakthrough seemed imminent. Lu Chongqing went to the Lu family mansion, casually inquiring, and learned that the person undergoing foundation establishment was from the 100 Birds Lake Bai family. By family, Lu Chongqing heard this and felt somewhat emotional. Over the years, apart from not providing them with foundation establishment elixirs, he had given them considerable support, ensuring no shortage of shared benefits. The Bai family also used these resources to support 2 people towards foundation establishment, but both failed their breakthrough. Now, seeing that the Bai family finally produced a second foundation establishment cultivator, Lu Chongqing was happy for them. Beside him, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and others also felt somewhat emotional. They recalled the past when Bai Lake Mountain, Qingzhou Mountain, 100 Birds Lake, and Wugong Ridge formed an alliance. Now, decades later, Wugong Ridge has changed hands, 100 Birds Lake has finally nurtured its second foundation establishment cultivator, and Qingzhou Mountain also has 3 foundation establishment cultivators. As for Bai Lake Mountain, it has already become a false core family, with more than 20 foundation establishment cultivators. Sarch * the novel Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Usually, they felt somewhat emotional, but not much else. Yet, at this moment, compared with Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake, they clearly realized how impressive their growth was. No wonder it made many families jealous. Xingchen has a Dao companion? During dinner, while Lu Chongqing was chatting with his wives and concubines, he heard something, lightly raised his brow, and laughed. Nowadays, as the children of Bai Lake Mountain grow older, they gradually start families. He was happy to see such situations, and hearing that his son Lu Xingqian has a Dao companion, he was slightly pleased. It seems they're not quite Dao companions yet, but I've heard from Caizhen that the two almost have that intent. Xia Zizhu briefly mentioned the situation of the girl. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, not saying much. The descendants will have their own fortunes, and he is happy to see such matters but would not interfere. However, hearing that the other party was a loose cultivator, he still instructed the family to investigate her background slightly. After all, with the current situation of the Lu family, many people have their eyes on them, and some might think of making a breakthrough from the Lu family disciples. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1368, Time flies quickly, in the blink of an eye, 3 months have passed. In these days, apart from refining the Tianyuan lotus, Lu Chongqing spent all other time accompanying his wives and children. Through his efforts over these 3 months, Xia Zizhu finally conceived their 6th child, and Zhao Qingqing conceived their 2nd. The 2 ladies had been given special care for long, but they were unable to conceive until now. Indeed, perseverance pays off. Aside from the 2, another concubine named Lin Qingyu also conceived. Not long ago, she consumed the Foundation Establishment elixir and, with Lu Changsheng's help, successfully broke through Foundation Establishment. Therefore, Lu Chongqing celebrated her well, and the pregnancy was quite smooth, conceiving in just days. However, this woman has a 4th-grade spiritual root. Now, breaking through Foundation Establishment, not conceiving more is indeed a pity. Master. On this day, Lu Chongqing was inspecting the Lu family school with his wives. Suddenly, the voice of Mount Sumeru resonated in his mind, indicating the Peachwood spirit womb showed activity. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing was immediately pleased, knowing Hong Lian was about to be born. He waved his hand to indicate the day's inspection was over. No matter what happens, education is the grand plan of the family, the future of the family, and cannot be ignored or allowed to fail. Father, rest assured. Husband is right. We adhere to father's teachings. The wives and Lu family disciples around him all responded. After a few words of advice, Lu Chongqing went to the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. The originally shimmering peachwood spirit womb, absorbing nature's spiritual energy, now emitted divine light, dazzling and splendid, with an aromatic fragrance that spread, making one's pores relax and mind at ease. Such a phenomenon upon the birth of a spiritual womb is truly astounding. With emotion, Lu Chongqing anticipated, watching the peachwood spirit womb before him. In Chongqing Hall, Lu Miaoge, who was in closed-door cultivation, also felt slight disturbances and stepped out of the hall. Her hair was elegantly swept up, dressed in a simple yet refined plain white dress, her tall and graceful figure exuding elegance. Seeing the remarkable phenomenon like celestial glow in the peachwood spirit womb from afar, she exclaimed with some surprise, "Chongqing, is Senior Hong Lian about to complete the physical form?" Judging by the looks of it, it won't be long before she is born." Lu Chongqing smiled slightly, holding his wife's fair and smooth slender hand, sitting at the nearby jade table, brewing tea with the spiritual spring, chatting while waiting for Hong Lian to be born. Regarding Hong Lian's matter, he had long informed Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, Ling Zixiao, and others, so they were all aware. Thinking that now with Hong Lian about to be born, he could go out with peace of mind, Lu Chongqing called Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjun, and others to come, to acquaint themselves with Hong Lian. The birth of Hong Lian was slower than Lu Chongqing anticipated. After waiting for more than half a month, the brilliant peachwood stump suddenly shattered explosively. Woo, 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 SAR the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Countless wood chips danced like a radiant floral rain, swirling everywhere. Subsequently, a goddess with a flawless pure white body, whiter and more delicate than white jade, walked out from the dreamlike floral rain. Her figure is gracefully elegant, with crystal-clear hair cascading down to her waist, covering her mutton-fat jade-like snow back. Her neck is slender, her shoulders seem sculpted, her arms like tender orchids, her waist as refined as if bound with silk, her legs like jade. Her face is extraordinarily beautiful, defying description even with phrases like enchanting allure. The entire person possesses a beauty blessed by nature, along with a grace that has been refined through the years, noble and elegant. Young master, Hong Lian looked at Lu Changsheng, her beautiful eyes glowing with a pink sheen filled with joy and excitement. Reforming her physical body was her only obsession since awakening. Now, she finally succeeded in recreating her physical form. Moreover, by reforming her physical body through the spiritual embryo of heaven and earth, she would not only return to her peak within hundreds of years, but might even venture further. At this moment, she was extremely jubilant. Not bad. Lu Changsheng observed Hong Lian before him with admiration in his eyes. Previously through Hong Lian's soul state, he could see her appearance was delicate and exquisite, truly peerless. Now through the peachwood spirit womb reforming her physical body, her charm not only did not diminish the slightest but even further manifested into true perfection, flawless, with divine elegance and beauty fit for a masterpiece, like a person walking out of a painting. Congratulations to Senior Hong Lian for reforming her physical body. At this moment, Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao looked at Hong Lian before them and congratulated her. Even though they knew this senior Hong Lian before them would surely become part of the family. But the figure before them is still a nascent soul true lord. Even though she may not be at her peak now, having reformed her body, she is still a nascent soul immortal, thus they hold sincere respect. Congratulations to Senior Hong Lian on reforming her physical body. Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, Bai Ling, Binger, among others, also expressed their congratulations. You all are truly too courteous, just call me Hong Lian. Knowing that all the ladies present were Lu Changsheng's wives and that she herself would most likely become sisters with them in the future, Hong Lian naturally would not act superior and said with a smile. Hong Lian, aren't you cold? At this time, Lu Changsheng asked Hong Lian as she spoke with the ladies. Ah. Hong Lian was momentarily bewildered upon hearing this, not understanding what he meant. However, in the next moment, she suddenly realized, having just reformed her physical body, unlike her previous soul state, she was now not properly clothed. Reflecting on exposing her jade body before Lu Changsheng and so many people, even though she once was a nascent soul true lord, she felt inexpressibly shy at this moment. Most especially seeing Lu Changsheng's unabashed and appreciative gaze towards her, she felt overwhelmingly embarrassed, wishing she could find a place to hide. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1369. Lu Miaoge immediately took out a robe and handed it to Hong Lian. Only to see Hong Lian gently raise her delicate hand, and the crystal-clear wood chips from the previously exploded peachwood spirit womb were directly condensed by her into a red luxurious palace dress. Although the peachwood spirit womb was used by her to create a physical body, the remaining materials were still precious and rare. Especially the 9 crystal-clear petals on the stump, which could be refined into a life-bound magic treasure. Buzz. Sarch * The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 9 peach petals slowly floated onto her black silky hair, vibrant and brilliant, adding an extra touch of beauty to her. Thank you, Daoist Miaoge. As a spirit embryo physique, these remaining materials from the spirit womb resonate with me, wearing them long-term will benefit my cultivation. Hong Lian, being a person experienced in major events, only blushed slightly for a moment before returning to normal, her voice light and melodious. Hong Lian, how is your strength now? Lu Changsheng looked at Hong Lian in front of him, curious to inquire. Although Hong Lian had just emerged and was only at the 3rd rank. But as a spirit embryo physique, her foundation should not be inferior to a superior grade gold core, or even a 1st grade gold core. Young master, my current cultivation and magical power are enough to rival a first-grade gold core. However, my spirit embryo has just formed, and I haven't cultivated any methods yet. Previously, I couldn't use any divine skills or refine magic treasures, so in terms of combat power, I can only be considered at the initial stage of core formation. Hong Lian voiced. Originally, she could have allowed the spirit embryo to continue nurturing, and even use it to cultivate and perfect her cultivation techniques. But she knew Lu Chongqing had many tasks entrusted to her, so she spent all her time and energy on reshaping her physical body. Now that the body has been reshaped, breaking out from the womb equated to a blank slate at the core formation stage, and in battle, only relying on magical power suppression. Ordinary core formation. Lu Chongqing nodded. He understood that this ordinary core formation did not refer to some low-grade core formation novice, but a middle-grade true elixir. However, if I employ certain techniques, I can hold my own against some at the middle stage of core formation. Hong Lian added. Even though she currently couldn't use many spells and divine skills. But during her peak, she was a nascent soul true lord, still possessing some secret techniques as trump cards. If truly fighting to the death, not to mention the middle stage of core formation, even the late stage, she could hope to severely injure them. However, she felt there was no need to boast too much about this. Alright, in preparing to go on a long journey, I need you to be in charge at home. Lu Chongqing didn't focus too much on her combat strength and spoke out. He had stayed at home all these days to accompany his wives and children, waiting for Hong Lian to be born, so he could then head to the Jin kingdom. Now that Hong Lian was born, he naturally did not intend to delay any longer. Please rest assured, young master, Hong Lian will certainly oversee everything at home. Hong Lian's voice was gentle and pleasant, like a distant breeze. After speaking, she looked towards Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao, and the others, saying, "Then I will rely on you fellow Daoists for advice." Daoist Hong Lian is too polite. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others quickly said. Although Hong Lian was unassuming and referred to them as peers, they still felt a bit constrained in front of her. Regarding this, Lu Chongqing said nothing. With time, after getting along, things will naturally improve. Lu Chongqing then briefly explained the situation. The main task for Hong Lian was to take over his usual affairs. Alchemy, artifact refining, and teaching. In terms of alchemy, she would be responsible for creating rare elixirs like the Foundation Establishment Elixir and the Breakthrough Elixir. As a third-rank superior grade alchemist, her level was a tier higher than Lu Changsheng's, and creating the elixirs needed by Lake Mountain was naturally not a problem. As for artifact refining, it depended on the need to forge some magic artifacts for family use. Currently, Lu Chongqing primarily planned to use the Heartburn Flame to forge a qi refining tower. Lu Chongqing had been very interested in this qi refining tower, but was always too busy, so he planned to leave it for Hong Lian to forge. With Hong Lian being a third-rank artifact refiner and an array master, she was even more suitable for forging this qi refining tower than Lu Chongqing himself. Additionally, his trip to the Jin kingdom was expected to take about a year, and if it proved too challenging, they could work together on it upon his return. As for the last task of teaching, it was one of the earliest duties Lu Chongqing had intended to assign to Hong Lian. After finishing, Lu Chongqing extracted the Heartburn Flame from the system space, letting it float in the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. He then handed over the Cave Mystique treasure mirror after erasing his mark on it. Hong Lian glanced at the invisible Heartburn Flame, accepted the Cave Mystique treasure mirror, and seriously said, "Please rest assured, young master." This act by Lu Chongqing instilled a sense of trust in her. By the way, there is also this magic treasure, if you have time, perhaps you could reforge it. Lu Chongqing took out another magic treasure, which was White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure. Back when he killed White Peak Immortal, he acquired 3 magic treasures. The set of 9 small arrows was currently being used by him. He had initially dismissed the opponent's flying escape treasure, gifting it to his daughter Lu Wangshu for cultivating the treasure body technique. As for this small platinum mountain, he had considered reforging it himself for use in body cultivation techniques. But, again, he was too busy with work, leaving no time or energy for artifact refining. He barely managed to occasionally create some talismans now, even in the field of talisman making. Ling Zixiao, looking at this watermelon-sized white platinum mountain exuding a thick and heavy aura, couldn't help but take a few extra glances, saying, "This magic treasure seems to resemble White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure." Lu Chongsheng was a bit surprised that Ling Zixiao recognized this magic treasure. It seemed that White Peak Immortal was indeed quite famous. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1370, he immediately chuckled and said, "Yes, it's that life-bound magic treasure of White Peak Immortal." Ah! Ling Zixiao was taken aback, looking at Lu Chongsheng with some confusion. Beside her, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and the other women also had expressions of surprise and doubt, looking at their husband in shock. Even though they hadn't traveled far, they had heard of the famous White Peak Immortal. Once challenged Azure Phoenix Immortal, and later became the master of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, serving as the city lord. But most shocking was shortly after assuming the city lord role, the White Peak Immortal was inexplicably assassinated, under unclear circumstances. Yet now, the life-bound magic treasure of this White Peak Immortal appeared in their husband's hand. Could it be? But this is too astonishing, isn't it? Although when White Peak Immortal perished, their husband happened to be heading to Myriad Beasts mountain range, could it really be such a coincidence? Besides, this White Peak Immortal was an old core formation, able to master the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, his strength was undeniable. At that time, their husband had just broken through core formation and didn't even have a magic treasure. Even if he congealed an immortal golden core, it wouldn't be possible to slay White Peak Immortal, right? Speaking of this, it's quite a coincidence, Sister Miaoge, Huan, Zixiao, do you remember the treasure map from those robber cultivators in Red Leaf Valley back then? Lu Chongsheng smiled and began to speak, briefly telling the story of White Peak Immortal. Since it was mentioned, he had no reason to hide it. Besides, as he was going to the Jin Kingdom soon, his wife was always somewhat worried about his strength. And just saying he didn't have it, this tale could also give his wife a clear comparison and understanding of his strength, so she wouldn't worry excessively. I didn't expect White Peak Immortal was slain by husband. Ling Zixiao and the other women were all in a daze after hearing this, full of shock and some disbelief. Even Ling Zixiao, who usually had the most trust in Lu Chongsheng's strength, was shocked at this moment. After all, she recognized White Peak Immortal's magic treasure after seeing this person's life story, knowing he was quite extraordinary. Although coming from a loose cultivator background, his rise could be regarded as a legend of his time. Only after encountering Azure Phoenix Immortal, he was forced to flee to Jianghu country, causing his fame to be unheard for nearly 100 years. But eventually returning and taking over Azure Phoenix Immortal City was sufficient to indicate his exceptional strength. Yet such a person was slain by their husband, it was simply astonishing. Beside her, Hong Lian remained calm, finding it natural. Even though Lu Chongsheng had just broken through core formation, without divine skills or a life-bound magic treasure then. But not having a life-bound magic treasure doesn't mean he has no other magical treasures, right? Not to mention, the Cave Mystique treasure mirror he casually gave her just now was obviously a top-level magic treasure. In these circumstances, to say Lu Chongsheng has no treasures, she would never believe it. And the heartburn flame, which stirs others' inner fire and emotions, that heavenly spiritual fire, is considered invaluable. But Lu Chongsheng used it for the cultivation of Lu family disciples at home. In situations like this, how does he seem like someone lacking means? She even thought that Lu Chongsheng's trust in her was, in fact, a form of confidence. Absolute confidence in himself. Husband, I heard Azure Phoenix Immortal City is still without a city lord, can't you take over? Lu Miaohuan's eyes sparkled with interest as she spoke. After all, the name of Azure Phoenix Immortal City was something she had heard of since childhood. Now, unknowingly, her husband had surpassed the master of such an immortal city. If they could take over such an immortal city for themselves, just thinking about it was exciting. Now Azure Phoenix Immortal City is controlled by the joint forces of Jianghu country and Yu country, with deputy city lords appointed by the two countries. How to take over, Huan, you mustn't speak of this recklessly elsewhere. Lu Miaoga saw her sister speaking like this and immediately spoke softly. Although she mostly spent her time cultivating, she also kept an eye on the situation information of the cultivation world. Knowing that White Peak Immortals incident caused quite a stir, only overshadowed by the Tianyuan Secret Realm event. If word got out, it might bring a lot of trouble. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I know, I was just saying casually. Lu Miaohuan pouted. White Peak Immortal previously sought refuge with Yu country's immortal sect and was pushed onto the stage, completely different from the Azure Phoenix Immortal of the past, so this Azure Phoenix Immortal City has actually always been held by Jianghu country and Yu country. Lu Chongsheng chuckled, understanding his wife's nature, so he spoke casually. After briefing Hong Lian, Lu Chongsheng informed Mount Sumeru to slightly pay attention to Hong Lian's situation. If there were any issues, he would tell Lu Miaoga. If he wasn't around, just follow Lu Miaoga's arrangements. Then he gave the Thousand Faces puppet fox to Ling Zixiao. For one, having the Thousand Faces puppet fox around, Ling Zixiao or Lu Miaoga would have something to carry for self-defense when going out, avoiding accidents. Another reason was that he might occasionally need to appear after just coming out of the Tianyuan Secret Realm. In such cases, the Thousand Faces puppet fox could be used for illusionary disguise. Perhaps a nascent soul immortal might see through the illusion, but ordinary cultivators and family forces he interacted with daily wouldn't be able to see through the illusionary disguise of the Thousand Faces puppet fox. Besides, with his current strength, having or not having the Thousand Faces puppet fox actually doesn't make much difference, better to leave it at home for more significant effects. After ensuring the family's affairs were arranged properly, Lu Chongsheng spent a few more days with his wife, then left Bai Lake Mountain silently. Originally, he planned to wait until Bai Ling had her child. But it had been a year and a half with no signs of giving birth, so Lu Chongsheng couldn't wait any longer. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1371. After leaving Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chongsheng did not head straight to Jin Kingdom but first made a detour to Qingyun sect to bid farewell to Xiaoxia. Shiyu, you can visit Bai Lake Mountain later to discuss the Supreme Forgetful Love technique with Hong Lian, it might give you some inspiration. If it's not urgent, you can also wait for my return, but this journey might take 1 or 2 years before I come back. Lu Chongsheng said this. Traveling from Jianghu country to Jin Kingdom, the journey is long, and even a nascent soul cultivator rushing with all his might would take 3 to 4 months. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, the border between the two countries has vast areas of spiritless lands and barren lands, making it difficult for cultivators to rest and replenish during the journey. Moreover, many robber cultivators, heretic cultivators, and wanted criminals hide in such places to ambush passers-by. Thus, nascent soul cultivators do not rush at full speed when crossing the border. They slow down, traveling by spirit boats or mounts to avoid excessive mana depletion and potential dangers on the way. Hence, a round trip between the two countries takes at least a year. Alright, Chongsheng, be careful on your journey. Xiaoxia had long known that Lu Chongsheng was going to Jin Kingdom. She even gathered plenty of information about Jin Kingdom through Qingyun sect for Lu Chongsheng. After bidding farewell to Xiaoxia and spending several warm days together, Lu Chongsheng set off towards White Tiger Mountain. Since returning from the Tianyuan Secret Realm, he had yet to visit White Tiger Mountain and Flower Fruit Mountain. Now, as he was about to embark on a distant journey again, it was natural to come and check on his children at home. Arriving at White Tiger Mountain, Lu Chongqing saw that his son, Lu Xianxia, looked even older. He once again asked if he wanted to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. But Lu Xianxia still declined, smiling as he expressed that he was very content. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, saying nothing further. After leaving White Tiger Mountain, he went to Flower Fruit Mountain to briefly check on the situation there and then headed towards Misty Rain Market. Lu Chongqing, if you want to, come at me. Fei is pregnant, what if the child gets hurt? Yan Lan quickly said with a tense expression as she embraced her sister into the cave mansion upon seeing Lu Chongqing. Don't worry, I have experience, Lu Chongqing glanced at her and said flatly. Then he softly said to Fei, there's an old saying that a dutiful son emerges from beneath the stick, Fei? Yan Lan? The two women glared at Lu Chongqing with furrowed brows, unable to comprehend what he was saying. Out of concern for the child, Fei was very restrained. Yan Lan, worried that Lu Chongqing might harm the child in her sister's belly, was very accommodating, letting Lu Chongqing do as he pleased and even swaying her jade body actively to cooperate. A few days later, Lu Chongqing left Misty Rain Market and found the Lu family merchant caravan led by Lu Rui. Be careful, be vigilant. The caravan kept several fearful rats. These demon beasts, true to their name, were extremely timid and very sensitive to the aura of killing intent, evil chi, demon chi, etc. As soon as they sensed any spiritual pressure or chi mechanism, they would tremble, so they were often used by many caravans to guard against danger. At this moment, Lu Chongqing did not conceal his aura much, so as soon as he appeared, the entire caravan was on high alert. Not bad. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly as he observed the scene before him. Mountain Lord. Father. Grandpa. Immediately, some cultivators from Bai Lake Mountain and Lu family disciples recognized Lu Chongqing, calling out loudly, paying their respects, and even kneeling. Dad! In the carriage compartment of a pack beast, Lu Rui heard the commotion and immediately called out with a look of surprise and joy. She had a tall stature and wore a golden soft armor. Her face, originally somewhat heroic, now bore a few traces of authority, possibly due to handling family business matters. I just happened to have nothing to do and came to check on you all. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Then he stepped forward, patting his daughter's head, and praised, Rui, these days have been hard on you all. He had heard about the merchant caravan issues from home and knew they faced quite some danger. Lu Rui had gotten injured a few times in the process, and it was only with Lu Wangshu bringing family puppets to hold the fort that they stabilized the situation. These are just things a daughter should do, it's nothing much, Lu Rui shook her head and did not take credit. Regarding the family business, the greatest obstacles had long been taken care of by her elder brother and aunt. And the family provided full support, investing heavily in replenishment during the journey. Under such circumstances, she felt she was merely doing what she could. Take credit when it's due, Lu Chongqing smiled and said, asking briefly about the current situation of the caravan and the business. Then he showed some concern for other Lu family disciples. When he saw Lu Xianxi's son, Lu Xuanyu, Lu Chongqing told him to return early after finishing this trip. This grandson showed remarkable talent in puppetry, far surpassing Lu Xianxia, and was now a top-level first-grade puppet master. Originally a talent of this technical type, a core figure in the puppet workshop, he seldom traveled. But the Lu family's puppet workshop trained a puppet guard squad, so he was sent over by Lu Xianxia. Now that there was a new fourth-rank puppet legacy at home, Lu Chongqing felt he should focus on studying it upon returning. Maybe he could draw parallels and advance to a second-rank puppet master. Yes, Grandpa. Lu Xuanyu responded respectfully. After staying with the Lu family merchant caravan for 3 days and experiencing the daily life of the caravan, Lu Chongqing gave his daughter 10 third-rank lower-grade talisman for self-defense, then left gracefully, and using the blood-tracking talisman, found his daughter Lu Wangshu at Hemming Mountain. He saw his daughter Lu Wangshu sparring with his son, Lu Lingxiao. Lu Lingxiao wielded black flames brimming with auras of destruction and decay in one hand and held a crimson feather fan in the other, and as he moved, billowing flames surged, fiercely intimidating, making the air seem to ignite. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1372, Lu Wangshu wore a pink and white dress, tall and elegant, with densely packed mystical runes covering her body, suppressing the surrounding flames. She then drew talismans in the void, bombarding Lu Lingxiao with an unending series, forcing him to defend as his energy was gradually consumed. Seeing this, Lu Chongsheng shook his head lightly. If not for the profound origin bead, and if his daughter didn't use the third-rank talismans and second-rank top-level talismans he gave her, to be honest, she wouldn't be a match for his son Lu Lingxiao. This son, though his dragon roar physique is incomplete. Yet his talent, comprehension, and temperament are all top-notch, plus he has Hong Lian as an excellent mentor, with a cultivation technique that complements his dragon roar physique. Moreover, during the Qi refinement realm, with his help, he refined the catastrophe flame, a second-rank spiritual fire, making him particularly formidable in attack and destruction. Even ordinary cultivators in the Foundation establishment middle stage fear confronting him head-on and must be careful of the burning flames. But, alas, he met Lu Wangshu. With the profound origin bead, Lu Wangshu not only surpassed Lu Lingxiao in cultivation level by one realm but also had seemingly endless mana. In such circumstances, it can be said she naturally countered Lu Lingxiao. After all, Lu Lingxiao lacks defensive measures, focusing on attack, and if he can't break through Lu Wangshu's talisman formation, he will gradually fall into a passive position. Once passive, let alone the initial stage of Foundation establishment Lu Lingxiao, even those in the late stage couldn't outlast Lu Wangshu. Knowing this, Lu Chongsheng still did not intervene, silently watching his children spar. After a long while, as Lu Lingxiao's mana gradually dwindled, Lu Wangshu stopped and said with a smile, "Lingxiao, thank you for your patronage." Lu Lingxiao didn't speak, tossing a storage bag to Lu Wangshu. "Next time you want to challenge your sister, ITLL start at 5,000 spirit stones," Lu Wangshu said with a smile, accepting the storage bag without hesitation and lightly weighing it with her jade hand. "Humph." Without saying anything else, Lu Lingxiao merely snorted coldly. Though quite disgruntled, he always bet on willingly accepting the loss. Good grief. Lu Chongsheng, watching this scene, felt a bit speechless. He always knew these children frequently sparred. But he never imagined they also charged fees. Challenging her once cost 5,000 spirit stones. Even though hiring Lu Wangshu for a round wasn't considered much at 5,000 spirit stones. But his son had only just started earning some spirit stones, which were likely all falling into his daughter Lu Wangshu's hands. If Ling Zixiao found out, he would probably be too annoyed to speak. A few days ago, Ling Zixiao even said Lu Wangshu and Lu Lingxiao had become sensible, and their sibling relationship had improved a lot. "Wangshu, why are you bullying your brother again?" Lu Chongsheng appeared through the void and spoke up. "Ah." With a smiling face suddenly stiffened with surprise, Lu Wangshu exclaimed, "Dad, why did you suddenly appear?" But in an instant, she was all smiles, happily taking her father's arm, saying, "Oh, Dad, I've missed you so much. My brother and I were just sparring to improve each other." SAR the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Her appearance was bright and charming, her voice innocent, completely different from the Wangshu fairy everyone else saw daily. "Dad, we were just normally sparring," Lu Lingxiao said as well. Seeing his son like this, Lu Chongsheng shook his head helplessly. Thinking his son's stubbornness seemed hereditary, he said nothing more, smiling as he spoke, "Since I haven't seen you for so long, I came by to check on you. Humph, I heard that you, Dad, returned from the Tianyuan secret realm 5 months ago, and I'm guessing you've been home long since you just didn't announce it, only finally coming to see us now. Lu Wangshu huffed, pouting. Are you turning the tables on me? Lu Chongqing fondly ruffled his daughter's black silky hair, saying, I had some matters to attend to. Lu Wangshu wasn't bothered, curiously asking, Dad, how did you get in? Just now, neither Lingxiao nor I noticed you at all. How did you manage to do that? Though the situation at Hemming Mountain is a bit rudimentary now, there is a second-rank great formation for protection, yet his father could enter the spirit land silently and imperceptibly, which was truly astounding. Isn't it normal for your father to have a few tricks up his sleeve? Knowing exactly what his daughter was scheming, Lu Chongqing replied with a hearty smile. As expected of Dad, you're amazing, your daughter is too far off to catch up. Lu Wangshu nodded vigorously, full of admiration. Hee hee. Lu Chongqing chuckled, saying nothing further. But Dad, my brother and I are out there long-term, and if we could have such a method, it would be much easier to conceal our whereabouts and provide more strategies in case of danger. She continued her statement, looking pitiful and lovely. Well, talk about it later. Your father is also borrowing a certain treasure, which you can't use now, Lu Chongqing replied with a smile, shaking his head. Soon after, he and his children landed on a hilltop, inquiring about their well-being. During their time away, both had encountered ambushes. But they had escaped danger every time. Unless accosted by a false core cultivator, regular Foundation establishment cultivators were no match for the two. Lu Wangshu, even when desperate, could make a false core cultivator suffer defeat with third-rank talismans. Although Lu Wangshu wouldn't do such a thing. After all, for a genius, injuring oneself to defeat an enemy is clearly not worthwhile. Encountering a false core cultivator should mean fleeing quickly, and calling for reinforcement is the wisest choice. Wangshu, how many third-rank talismans do you have left? Hearing her words, Lu Chongqing immediately asked with concern. An ordinary Foundation establishment cultivator could manage at most 1/3 rank talisman at a time, unable to handle more. But his daughter Lu Wangshu, having the blood talisman spiritual body, cultivating the 99 mystical talisman scripture, can use 2 or even 3 at once. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1373, Not Much. If you have more, Dad, you can give me some. If not, just keep it for yourself to protect yourself. Lu Wangshu said very considerately. When Lu Chongqing heard this, he immediately knew that his daughter had hardly used any talismans. However, he knew that his daughter had a hamster-like trait, loving to hoard everything, so he gave each of his son and daughter 10 talismans. Don't start eyeing the talismans in Lingxiao's hands again. After giving them, Lu Chongqing looked at his daughter and said, Dad, am I that kind of person? Lu Wangshu was a bit unconvinced. Lingxiao, if you're almost done with your work, come home for a visit. Your master has awakened and will forge a magical treasure for you then. Lu Chongqing ignored his daughter and said to his son, Lu Lingxiao. Although this son grew up surrounded by heavenly and earthly treasures, he had yet to obtain anything truly rare. So, a few days ago, he chatted with Hong Lian about this son's situation, and Hong Lian, after seeing the family's golden fire vine tree and fire mulberry tree, mentioned that the Vermilion Bird Palace had a tradition of nurturing fire through spiritual wood. This golden fire vine tree was very suitable for Lu Lingxiao's spiritual body and cultivation technique. It could be refined into a magical treasure embryo for Lu Lingxiao to use. Not only is its power formidable, but keeping it nearby can nourish the physical body and mana at all times, enhancing cultivation. Although third-rank spirit plants are rare, for the current Lu Chongqing, it's manageable. If he truly wants a third-rank heavenly and earthly spirit plant, he can look for one in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. So upon hearing this, he directly handed the golden fire vine tree to Hong Lian, asking her to later refine it into a magical treasure embryo for his son Lu Lingxiao. Master has awakened? Lu Lingxiao was somewhat surprised to hear this. Earlier, his mother had told him that his master was reconstructing his physical body and was in a semi-sleeping state most of the time. Alright, Dad, I'll visit home once I'm done. He glanced at Lu Wangshu beside him, nodded, and said. Dad, what about me, what about me? Lu Wangshu immediately widened her eyes and looked at her father. I have some matters to attend to, but I'll prepare a surprise for you when I return, okay? Lu Chongsheng rubbed his daughter's head and said dotingly. You're going out again, Dad, you just got back, didn't you? Lu Wangshu pouted slightly. There's always something to keep busy with. Lu Chongsheng smiled and said. After staying for a few days at Hemming Mountain, Lu Chongsheng finally embarked on his journey to Jin Kingdom. 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer. Buzz. Lu Changsheng's Qi Ocean core trembled, and the formless treasure will appeared in his hand, slowly revolving. Suddenly, Nangong Meili, with her exquisite allure and graceful figure, appeared. Lu Chongsheng, you dog of a man, what do you want now? As soon as Nangong Meili appeared, she glared angrily at Lu Chongsheng, reprimanding him coldly. Having been suppressed in the formless domain for a long time, her emotions had become quite volatile. But after her outburst, she immediately noticed something was amiss about her current location, as if she was in the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer. She frowned slightly and said, Lu Chongsheng, where are you taking me? You're so disrespectful. Call me husband. Lu Chongsheng glanced at her and tapped on the round millstone, saying with a smile. Lu Chongsheng, how dare you humiliate me like this, I'm going to fight you. Nangong Meili's face turned red with anger and shame, and she immediately flared up. Nangong Meili, are you looking for trouble? I'm set on going to Jin Kingdom, I don't have time to play games with you. Lu Changsheng's strong and powerful arms wrapped around her, preventing her from moving. Jin Kingdom, why are you going to Jin Kingdom? Nangong Meili's beautiful and seductive face was full of indignation and shame. But hearing that Lu Chongsheng was heading to Jin Kingdom, she paused in surprise, a mix of doubt and astonishment. I'm going to see my daughter. Lu Chongsheng replied. You're going to see Yao Yao? Sar the Nell Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Upon hearing this, Nangong Meili's expression turned wary as she said, Lu Chongsheng, I warn you, Yao Yao is my daughter. If you dare make a move on her, I'll fight you. As if feeling her words lacked intimidation, her voice turned a few degrees colder as she continued, when Nangong Meili says something, she means it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1374, Nangong Meili, do you have a problem? Lu Chongsheng looked at the woman with a cold expression again, feeling a bit speechless. Why does she always act as if I'm going to harm her daughter? Humph. Nangong Meili's face was cold, her phoenix eyes filled with hostility. She knew well that Lu Chongsheng wouldn't harm her daughter. But after more than half a year together, she understood that Lu Chongsheng seemed gentle on the surface, yet was domineering at heart. Moreover, he was highly chauvinistic and prejudiced against the demon path. The trip to the Jin Kingdom was certainly not just about visiting their daughter. He was undoubtedly planning to take their daughter Nangong Yao Yao back to Bai Lake Mountain. How could she be willing to accept that? Damn it! Seeing Nangong Meili's demeanor, a surge of anger welled up in Lu Changsheng's heart. Lu Chongsheng, you, Nangong Meili saw Lu Changsheng's actions, her alluring face as beautiful as the blossoming flowers of February, instantly filled with shame, anger, and humiliation. This despicable man was simply unreasonable and brutish, attacking her without warning, yet, for some reason, Nangong Meili didn't feel much aversion now. Jin Kingdom. Recently, a piece of news regarding the Yiming ghost sect and the ghost demon true master caused quite a stir. It began 10 years ago when a loose cultivator named Chu Changtian killed the ghost demon true master's son and was placed on a wanted list by the ghost demon true master. Initially, only a few paid attention to this matter. But a few months ago, another piece of news about Chu Changtian spread. Teng Li, the ghost demon true master's first disciple, led more than 10 Foundation establishment cultivators to hunt him down, only to suffer a major defeat. Teng Li, with a cultivation level of the 9th level of Foundation establishment, even died at Chu Changshan's hands. The dissemination of this news caused an uproar, drawing countless attention. Everyone wanted to know who this Chu Changtian was, possessing such strength at the middle stage of Foundation establishment. Faced with this situation, the ghost demon true master was furious. He immediately announced that anyone who could provide information about Chu Changtian would receive a core formation spiritual object. And whoever could capture Chu Changtian would be rewarded with a blood ghost condensing evil pill. The blood ghost condensing evil pill is a unique elixir medicine of the Yiming ghost sect, extremely rare. Consuming it helps Foundation establishment cultivators unleash their potential and hit core formation. Although the core formation process consumes life potential and at most forms a low-quality pill, it raises the core formation probability by 50%. So, for a time, numerous family forces and Foundation establishment late-stage cultivators pursued Chu Changshan's tracks. Not only to capture him for the blood ghost condensing evil pill but also to seize the opportunities and inheritances he possessed. After all, a loose cultivator with no affiliation yet harboring such opportunities and inheritances was an irresistible temptation for any force. Not far from the Heavenly Spider Market, several dozen miles away. Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. An 18 or 19-year-old girl, delicate in appearance, like a dream, wearing a purple outfit, was hunting down a man cloaked in a black cloak. Buzz, the purple-clothed girl's jade hand was fair and slender, lightly striking forward. It was like a butterfly spreading its wings, or a spirit snake flicking its tongue, filled with endless killing intent amidst the beauty and dreaminess. At the same time, on top of her head, a purple jade heavenly spider perched, causing multicolored threads to appear from all sides, binding the man in the black robe. Boom! The young man in the black robe, his hair in disarray, the slightly damaged black cloak swirling around him with multicolored small fish, suddenly shot out, seemingly about to devour the sky and break the threads. The two forces clashed, and he clearly wasn't a match for the purple-clothed girl. Hiss! At this moment, a straight beam of golden light appeared, suddenly tearing open a corner of the web. The youth instantly shot out like a peng bird, continuing to escape. For someone capable of slaying Teng Li, he indeed has some skills. But by the looks of it, he should still have some hidden moves. The purple-clothed girl paused upon witnessing this and chose to stop her pursuit. As she turned to head back to the market, a masked girl in a purple veil, dazzlingly beautiful, approached with concern and asked the purple-clothed girl, "Sister Xiaochan, how did it go?" "Yao Yao, this Chu Changtian is indeed exceptional. If I'm not mistaken, he not only consumed numerous heavenly and earthly treasures but also cultivated some kind of toxic body refining techniques, making him immune to all poisons. If you encounter him in the future, make sure never to engage him." Meng Xiaochan softly stroked the black silky hair of the teenage girl, speaking gently. During the earlier confrontation, she tried to erode the opponent with poison techniques, thinking the toxins would infiltrate him, making him unable to escape. Yet after so long, the opponent barely got poisoned, indicating his extraordinary constitution, immune to all poisons. Also, taking into account that the opponent could kill Teng Li, there might be more to his abilities, so she didn't continue the chase. "Sister Xiaochan, I understand." Nangong Yao Yao nodded seriously. Earlier in the marketplace, she engaged in a brief skirmish with him. If it weren't for the body-protecting talisman her mother gave her, she would have nearly been severely injured by the six-winged golden silkworm. His cultivation technique inheritance is anything but ordinary, and taming such a unique exotic creature like the six-winged golden silkworm certainly makes him extraordinary, possibly the disciple of some ancient monster. Meng Xiaochan added. This kind of situation wasn't uncommon. Many ancient monsters enjoyed sending their disciples out for experience, rising through piles of corpses. They might even train multiple disciples, having them kill each other. Sister Xiaochan, is there still no news from Mother? After a while, Nangong Yaoyao suddenly raised her head gently, speaking with some sadness. Meng Xiaochan paused momentarily, holding the young girl in the purple dress, gently saying, Master might have gotten slightly injured in the Tianyuan secret realm, needing to recover, so she got delayed. Master's soul lamp shows no signs of anomalies, which means everything is fine. Yaoyao, you don't have to worry. She knew that her counterpart had been feeling down these days because of her master's matter. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1375. Otherwise, upon seeing the appearance of the six-winged golden silkworm this time, they wouldn't easily give up and would think of continuing to pursue victory. 2 months later. Lu Chongsheng descended from the 9th heavenly gang wind layer with Nangong Meili. In sight was a vast desert. Ahead was the border of Jiang country and Jin kingdom. One could see that there was almost no spiritual mechanism ahead, and the earth's veins were in chaos. Looking further into the distance, there was a layer of hazy dust storms sweeping through, affecting the flying speed and divine sense of cultivators. Lu Chongsheng found a place to settle down, planning to restore his mana state before crossing the border. Although it was almost impossible for him to encounter danger given his combat situation, it was still good to be cautious. Whoosh, just as he released the spiritual eye spring and sat cross-legged in meditation, a sudden surge of spiritual root turbulence welled up in his heart. Immediately, his entire body was enveloped by an indescribable and profound feeling. Spiritual root. His spiritual root had advanced. Finally, it had advanced from a first-grade spiritual root to an earth spirit root. This child should be a second-grade spiritual root. Lu Chongsheng felt joyful, quietly savoring this mystical tremor. The child he was expecting would most likely have a spiritual root. But the majority of spiritual roots were of middle grade. For this reason, his spiritual root had always been at the brink of first grade, unable to break through to earth spirit root. Now, with the birth of this child, his spiritual root had finally achieved a qualitative change through sheer numbers. It shouldn't be the child in Linger's womb, it must be the one in Rangier's. There weren't many pregnant concubines at home, and Lu Chongsheng could deduce which concubine had given birth based on the general pregnancy timeline. This Rangier was one of the 5 maids he took when he advanced to a 3rd-rank talisman master, possessing a 5th-grade spiritual root. Unexpectedly, her first birth gave him a superior grade spiritual root. However, after advancing to earth spirit root, Lu Chongsheng didn't show much excitement. After all, given his current cultivation level, the spiritual root offered limited improvement. Besides slightly aiding in breaking through bottlenecks, its main effect was genetic enhancement. Lu Chongsheng didn't continue pondering, holding 2 superior grade spirit stones, and began to recover through the nearby spiritual eye spring. He also casually checked if there were any unexpected surprises with the earth spirit root. However, since his original spiritual root was already on the brink, the upgrading to earth spirit root significantly improved the efficiency of absorbing and refining spiritual energy, but it wasn't a qualitative leap. At this moment, Nangong Meili, standing next to him, suddenly transformed into a radiant beam and shot into the distance. This woman. Lu Chongsheng opened his eyes and sighed helplessly. Then, like a shooting star across the sky, he burst out, tearing through the air with a roar, stirring up layers of turbulence. Moments later, an overhead yin-yang Daoist chart enveloped in yin-yang qi grasp descended to suppress Nangong Meili. I already told you I'm just going to see Yao Yao. why do you have to react like this? Lu Chongsheng said somewhat helplessly. Ever since she found out he was heading to Jin Kingdom to visit their daughter, this woman had been on high alert. She's probably trying to beat him back to keep their daughter hidden from him. Lu Chongsheng was rather troubled by this situation. Although he could continue to suppress her, she was still the mother of his child after all. He couldn't just suppress her and then go see his daughter, could he? Doing so would make him look like a pure villain in his daughter's eyes. With Nangong Mili guiding her, his image in this daughter's heart was likely already not too good, considered as abandoning wife and child. Doing this would make it worse to witness. Humph. Nangong Mili just kept a cold face, not believing Lu Chongsheng at all. Mili, do you want it again, and you're intentionally provoking me like this? Lu Chongsheng raised an eyebrow and said so. Lu Chongsheng, you bastard, shameless. The originally cold-faced Nangong Mili couldn't hold it any longer, her beautiful phoenix eyes widened, and she cursed furiously. This dog of a man forced her all the time and even slandered it as her desire. We're an old couple now, what's there to be shy about? Lu Chongsheng chuckled lightly, wrapping his arms around her breathtakingly graceful body. One had to say, Nangong Mili was a natural beauty. No matter how long he experienced it, she still gave him an unmatched, wondrous feeling. Several days later, after imparting all the yin-yang energies, Nangong Mili had stabilized significantly, and the two of them rowed a spirit boat into the border. Previously, Lu Chongsheng had asked Nangong Mili about the general situation and caution points of crossing the border. He knew the border had minor natural disasters, robber cultivators, heretic cultivators, and wanted criminals, with no other dangers. However, for demonic path cultivators, there was an additional layer of danger from patrolling heavenly sword sect cultivators. Demonic path or heretic cultivators trying to cross the border into Jianghu country had to be extremely cautious. Otherwise, if noticed by patrolling cultivators from heavenly sword sect, their lives would be in danger. Speaking of this, Nangong Mili was still angrily scolding, not knowing which dog-like fool dared to kill White Peak Immortal in the past. That led to the heavenly sword sect dispatching several nascent soul immortals to patrol the border, and if it weren't for her good luck in having the misty sky bead, she would have nearly perished. Lu Chongsheng certainly wasn't going to show off that he was the one who did it, and only discreetly showed his concern for her. By Lake Mountain, Xuanfu Peak. Lu Yun regularly came to the peak to refine the dragon blood tree. After nearly 2 years of thorough refinement, he had established a deep bond with the dragon blood tree. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Only one step away, he could refine it into his lifebound spiritual route. For this reason, he dedicated all his time to this endeavor every day, whenever possible, refining the dragon blood tree. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1376, Refine. Lu Yun refined the dragon blood tree, suddenly feeling his spiritual power and the chi mechanism of the dragon blood tree becoming chaotic and uncontrollable. His spiritual power poured out abruptly, surging towards the dragon blood tree. Instantaneously, his face lit up with joy. He knew this was the final step of refining the heavenly longevity technique. He promptly took out a sensing talisman to send a message to his mother. Moments later, Lu Miaoyun arrived, saw the situation, and called Chu Zhenjun, who poured a drop of myriad spirits heaven-reaching liquid from the myriad spirits bottle onto the dragon blood tree. This was previously instructed by Lu Chongsheng to reserve a drop of myriad spirits heaven-reaching liquid for Lu Yun to break through to foundation establishment. Otherwise, even if he was at the peak of the chi refining stage and refined the heavenly longevity technique, it would still take a long time to break through to foundation establishment. Boom! Receiving this drop of myriad spirits heaven-reaching liquid, the already exuberant chi mechanism of the dragon blood tree suddenly swayed vigorously, its chi becoming even more turbulent, like a volcanic eruption flowing to Lu Yun, causing the surrounding nature's spiritual energy to rush into his body. Just like this, time passed bit by bit. 10 days later, Lu Yun's qi mechanism shook tremendously, and his cultivation level broke through from the peak of the qi refining stage to foundation establishment. Foundation establishment, I finally broke through to foundation establishment. Lu Yun looked at his significantly stronger hands, feeling an unprecedented power surging through his body. He was so overjoyed that he couldn't help but shout loudly. 2.5 years ago, he and his siblings, 5 people together, attempted foundation establishment, but he failed. This matter dealt quite a blow to him. Choosing to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique at that time also had a few reasons related to this, as he held a bit of inexplicable fear and dread towards foundation establishment. And now, he finally broke through to foundation establishment. Although it was through the heavenly longevity technique to break through. At this moment, he even felt like saying, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't belittle the elderly poor. But now I've broken through to foundation establishment, am considered middle-aged. Lu Yun thought this way. He hadn't taken any elixir medicines for rejuvenation before, so he looked like he was around 50 years old. Now that he broke through to foundation establishment, he was full of vitality, looking only about 30 years old. Yuner, congratulations on breaking through to foundation establishment. Take these days to stabilize your state, and then your family will host a small celebration ceremony for you. Lu Miaoyun said with a smile beside him. Yes, mother. Despite his age, Lu Yun remained very respectful towards his mother Lu Miaoyun. At the border of Jianghu country, Lu Chongsheng and Nangong Mili were riding on a spirit boat, crossing the border. Having been accustomed to traveling at full speed, even at the speed of this quasi-third-rank spirit boat, Lu Chongsheng seemed uninterested. Considering whether to continue traveling at full speed. After all, with the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus as the second Dantian, he could sustain the mana consumption. Just then, a system prompt sounded. Congratulations to the host, 15 offspring have broken through to the foundation establishment stage, gaining bloodline effect. Spiritual body inheritance rate increases by 1%, and an advanced lottery opportunity. 15 of them, is this Yuner has refined the heavenly longevity technique and broken through to the foundation establishment? Lu Chongsheng heard this system prompt, and his eyebrows slightly lifted. 3 months ago, his daughter Lu Xingyue successfully broke through to foundation establishment using the second foundation establishment pill. Now, among the children at home eligible for foundation establishment, Lu Yun was the first he thought of. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongsheng opened the system interface and took a glance. It was indeed his son Lu Yun breaking through to foundation establishment. System, draw lottery. He wasn't overly concerned, silently recited in his mind, and looked at what good things this advanced lottery could bring. Immediately, the advanced level drawing wheel appeared, starting to spin. After several breaths, the golden light gradually slowed down, stopping at the spiritual pet treasure section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring a spiritual pet, golden-winged heavenly pang. Reward has been delivered to the system space. Host can check at any time. A pang bird, entirely golden-colored, exuding golden brilliance, with a majestic and handsome figure, emerged from the lottery wheel, accompanied by a system prompt. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1377, Golden-Winged Heavenly Pang. Lu Chongsheng raised an eyebrow slightly. In his early years, he had learned some information about true spirits from Hong Lian and had heard of the Heavenly Peng clan. It was rumored that this race was related to the legendary Phoenix and the Golden-Winged Rock. Unexpectedly, he had now drawn such a true spirit pet beast. His mental spirit stirred slightly as he looked into the system space. Spiritual pet, Golden-winged heavenly peng, grade, middle rank true spirit, description. The heavenly peng clan is blessed by the heavens, possessing a formidable physical body, able to contend with flood dragons, and has the fastest speed in the world. Currently in its growth stage, possessing 3rd rank strength, middle rank true spirit, 3rd rank strength. Seeing this introduction, Lu Chongqing felt a burst of joy inside. Currently, the grade of a spiritual pet was secondary to him, what mattered was whether its combat power could be utilized. If he drew a completely powerless cub, even a high-rank true spirit or even a top-level true spirit would be meaningless to him. After all, the heavenly grade bloodline pet beasts he drew in the past truly numbed him to raising them. At this moment, Nangong Meili beside him noticed Lu Chongqing suddenly spacing out as if he was pondering something, and her beautiful phoenix eyes gleamed dreamily before turning into a streak of light that shot out swiftly. These days, she had been constantly worried that Lu Chongqing might take her daughter away and was extremely uneasy. So she thought she would return quickly and prepare her daughter with a warning. This woman. Seeing this scene, Lu Chongqing felt a bit helpless, intending to suppress her. But then he thought that continuously suppressing her to meet her daughter wasn't a proper way to handle things either. Since that's the case, at this moment, a thought flashed through Lu Chongqing's mind. Then he transmitted his voice to Nangong Meili, "Meili, if you don't wish to go with me, you can return first. I'll come to the 5 Poisons cult to find you later. If you change your mind, I will meet with Yao Yao then." After speaking, he let Nangong Meili go off into the distance. Why did this scoundrel man change his demeanor? Nangong Meili was stunned upon hearing this, a bit bewildered. Seeing Lu Chongqing no longer suppressing her, inexplicably, a sense of forlorn appeared in her heart. However, after hesitating for a moment, she decided to not dwell on it further and rode on a purple jade handkerchief, flying towards the Jin Kingdom's 5 Poisons cult. Lu Chongqing certainly did not actually plan to wait for Nangong Meili to change her mind before visiting the 5 Poisons cult. Who knew what bad things she might say about him to their daughter when she returned? His plan was simple, as long as he arrived at the 5 Poisons cult before Nangong Meili did. As for how to find their daughter, he already had a plan. Back in the day, he and Meng Xiaochan had sensing talismans. He would directly find Meng Xiaochan upon reaching the 5 Poisons cult's territory. Furthermore, he had Nangong Meili's blood. He could use the blood tracking talisman to directly find their daughter then. Just the opportunity to test the speed of this golden-winged heavenly peng. Lu Chongqing believed with his mana state, he could definitely arrive at the 5 Poisons cult before Nangong Meili. And having just obtained a golden-winged heavenly peng, said to have the fastest speed in the world, would make losing her trail even simpler. Extract. In an instant, a golden beam soared into the sky, accompanied by an overwhelming and terrifying aura. Before him appeared a golden-winged heavenly peng, measuring dozens of feet, entirely resplendent as if forged from gold, radiating a dazzling brilliance, majestic and awe-inspiring. Its eyes, with vertical pupils, were cold and sharp, resembling 2 golden suns, exuding an aura of unrivaled dominance. Its gleaming wings spread like clouds reaching the skies, exuding an unparalleled cutting aura that seemed to divide the heavens and earth, striking across the 9 skies. Golden-winged heavenly peng, what an impressive golden-winged heavenly peng. Lu Chongqing was ecstatic at the sight of the golden-winged heavenly peng before him. This golden-winged heavenly peng was exceptionally extraordinary. It was more majestic and domineering than any demon king he had seen in the myriad beasts mountain range. Since the early days with the iron feather eagle, he had been wanting to get a mount to ride. But, unfortunately, the system was not cooperative, and he had no interest in ordinary second-rank spiritual beast mounts. Now seeing this golden-winged heavenly peng, he knew this was the mount meant for him, the one he had been waiting for. Not to mention, riding this golden-winged heavenly peng would massively boost his prestige. Moreover, there was an unexpected surprise. This golden-winged heavenly peng's strength was not just at the 3rd rank. It actually had late-stage 3rd rank strength. A demon king with heavenly grade bloodline, its power can match a superior grade gold core cultivator. This golden-winged heavenly peng is a middle-rank true spirit. Even though it has just entered late-stage 3rd rank, its strength is absolutely unrivaled at the same rank. That means, below the nascent soul, I can walk unhindered. Lu Changsheng's face was filled with joy. In earlier years, he had considered rearing the 9 Netherhound until it became a demon king and then have it take him flying. That wish ultimately was not realized. Now that he obtained such a golden-winged heavenly peng, it could be considered as half fulfilled. He could experience the power of being backed by a formidable pet. Golden-winged heavenly peng, from now on, they'll call you Golden Peng. Lu Chongsheng said, looking at the fierce and imposing golden-winged heavenly peng before him. Yes, master. The golden-winged heavenly peng, as a 3rd-rank demon king, could already speak. However, its voice was incomparably cold, like a golden bell ringing with a hum, resounding and piercing, filled with a murderous aura. This was not because it had any objection to Lu Chongsheng. Rather, the golden-winged heavenly peng, as a divine bird, inherently possessed a fierce nature, wild and difficult to tame. Sir, the novel, F. Ire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If not for the system recognizing the master, even a nascent soul true lord would find it difficult to subdue it, requiring an unknown amount of effort. Golden Peng, can you make yourself a bit smaller? Lu Chongsheng said, looking at the golden-winged heavenly peng before him. Its body was simply too large, measuring dozens of feet. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible.